It's time for another episode of Coffee, Donuts, and Fucked Up Shit. Your premiere podcast for insensitive material for sensitive ears. Please rate and review us on your podcast app. Enjoy.
How the fuck did you get in my house, Evan?
From the makers of radium comes mummy dust. Side effects include internal bleeding, coagulated blood, coughs, inflation of the body, pains of the spleen, uterine infections, contractions of difficult later, hysterics, contractions of joints, measles, scars, epilepsy, diseases of the head, dysentery, diarrhea, poopy butt, cheesy tots up the ass, and just general dissatisfaction with life.
Man, when you move I put the bowler hat on the horse mask.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
And he looked really happy about it earlier. It made him look like, oh, hello.
He looked
But
distinguished as
the
fuck.
hat got moved back, and now he looks terrified.
That horse, yeah. I can only see one eye.
You got to see it from my view. He looks really fucking. He's like, what the who put this fucking hat on me?
Let's party!
I'm a horse. Why do I have a hat?
Oh, I'm a horse. You guys want to see my penis?
I don't know. Why do horses have to talk that way? Oh, I'm a horse.
Yeah. You can get away with a lot of shit talking that way.
That's true.
I think
That's
you can be
true.
kind of pervy.
You can probably get out of fights, too. Just
What?
be like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah, you can just make
I
fun
didn't know
of
I was
people
making fun of your mom's tits.
I didn't realize your mom was such a whore. Excuse me for asking.
Sorry.
Get this horse out of my bar.
What kind of farm are we on? Sorry, that's one of my favorite
That's what the
lines.
show BoJack Horseman should be. Is he just? I'm gonna do ketamine.
I have a drinking problem.
The show would be way better.
Yeah.
I'm sick of Will Arnett's voice.
Oh, I don't know if I could ever get sick of
Is that a
Will
hot
Arnett's voice.
take?
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Sorry, I had to abruptly leave. I had to make sure I put the toilet seat back down.
Thank you. Yes, the
I-
cats will jump in there.
I did. It was it's like one
Thank
of those
you.
anxiety anchors where like
Oh,
I would
no.
be distracted the whole time recording if I didn't check, and I
no.
feel so
Just
much better.
knowing Little fur balls just in that bowl.
Yeah.
They love water. They got to stick their paws in it, and they know how to turn the faucet
It
on.
looks like a pool.
It is a pool. I've
It's a
been in
cat
one.
pool.
Well, they have that water fountain to drink out of, and when
Cat
football
jacuzzi
drinks
when
out
you
of it,
flush
he
it.
he puts his arms all the way around it.
Yeah.
Like he's just fucking. He's like, oh, I love water.
Pool hug.
They don't let me into
What?
public pools, so I just go in the bathrooms at them.
Oh.
Okay.
Splash around.
Well, if you're in the
Splish splash.
bathroom. Oh, see.
Kitty like, no.
If you're in the bathrooms already at a public pool, you're already in there.
They don't let me in
because
the
the bathrooms
pool.
are what?
It's not
oh.
illegal to
Ski
shit
in
and
the
piss in a
bathroom.
pool. Did you know that?
It's not okay.
You leave a
like
Babe.
it
is.
You leave a Babe Ruth.
I would love to go to court for that.
I feel like you're gonna get some kind of
Mr.
loophole, or not a
Clark
loophole, but they're gonna
versus
catch you
Minnesota
somehow.
public pool.
I love peeing in pools. That's why I don't go in public pools anymore because
Yeah.
I just love peeing in them.
Yeah.
It's kind
So
of
you're
fucked
It's
up.
like
Pool
me
at
and
home, it's
Everclear.
just-
I love it, but just can't do it
Just
anymore.
stay away from it.
So don't go swimming at Jenna's house.
I don't have
No.
a pool.
No, just the bathtub.
Yeah.
Just the bathtub. I go
No
splish,
slip
splish,
and
splish,
slides
splish,
for
splish.
you.
Oh, I fully urinate on those.
Yeah.
Fully.
Did you guys know that speaking of things that are illegal, did you know if you have something removed or taken out of your body, like a finger or a gallbladder, you are legally
Hot Wheels
required to get it?
Yes.
Like if you're like, no,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can't have your finger back. You'd be like, no, you
There
give me
was-
my finger.
You'll be like,
It is mine.
My-
Fuck you up.
They'll try to not let you have your
Yeah, there-
ball sack back,
There's a
but you are
documentary or
legally
something.
required to
Did you
get
see
it.
that shit? where-
I've got an actual story about my brother lost his finger in a motorcycle accident,
Oh, fuck.
and they were just like, yeah, he's
I
like,
loved how you were giving a little,
I know he's
Yeah, that's
running away.
the one that's
Way,
gone.
way, way,
Phantom
way.
little
fuck.
demonstration.
But
there.
when he came out of surgery, he's like, so where's my finger? And they're like, oh, we're just gonna throw it away. So
No.
like, bullshit, I want my
Bullshit,
that's
finger
mine.
back.
You
Put that
pickle-
thing in a jar
you
from
pickle
aldehyde.
it.
all the pranks
Yeah, he's still got it in a little jar.
Well,
Is it on
anything
display?
was ever yours.
above the
Yeah.
fireplace.
I don't know where he keeps it. I think he keeps like his underwear drawer, maybe. I don't know.
Doesn't your brother like to give high fours?
Yes, he does.
Oh.
He's like, high four.
He's
Yeah.
in permanent shocker position.
Yeah. yeah.
Very nice.
Yes, he is.
Oh,
10,
God.
10-4, good buddy.
Ding, ding.
I actually had a customer once that I noticed was missing a finger, and I decided to do your brother's. I took a chance, and I went, high four! And I was like, well, this could go really bad. It went really well.
Went well?
I'm good at reading people,
You
usually.
think most people, if you lose a finger, you're gonna have a sense of humor.
You have to. You got it. Like, what are you going to do?
What are you gonna do? Yeah, like, I just start crying. Like,
I lost it.
Well, at first.
get that out of your system in like third grade. After everyone goes, there goes Four Finger Freddy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
old forefinger.
Look at four fingers, a bitch.
Speaking of
Here comes
fingers,
old
I
forefinger.
watched this documentary called Tickled
Okay.
last night.
what?
Have
Okay.
you heard of this?
What's
No.
it about?
It's-
That's just something on Pornhub you watch.
Tickled. Ticky,
I love
ticky,
being
ticky.
tickled.
It's a documentary about the seedy underworld of competitive tickling.
That is
Shut
not
the
a thing.
fuck up.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Do
Shut
they share
up.
when they book their
That was
convention? Do they have to
it.
share it with the guys who grow their beards
Well,
really
here's the
long?
thing. It's labeled competitive tickling, but it's really just fetish porn.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just,
Oh, that
so it's just a
is
bunch
so-
of fat guys
no.
lying around tickling each other.
Yes, but all right. So this shit is fascinating because like it, and I won't spoil too much, but
just-
I highly recommend watching it.
I don't know if I could watch it.
First
you
off,
can go ahead. You can give some spoilers.
I fucking
Spoil
hate
it.
being tickled.
Yes.
Like I'm very
I
ticklish.
The
love-
notion of it kind of
Nobody
I
gives
will
me a
punch you.
I'm sorry, I
Sad
like it.
tummy.
I'm fucked up. Maybe this
You like
documentary's-
tickling or getting tickled?
Getting tickled.
Everybody likes to tickle, but nobody likes to be
No,
tickled.
it's aggressive and weird.
It's
Yeah.
like it's the
It
poke.
hurt. Okay, I don't like when it hurts. I don't like
Yeah,
it
what's that
painful.
when it's like
I don't
hurt
like
tickle?
when you start
That's
pinching.
fucking, yeah.
No,
That's
it's
not tickling.
I don't like
It's the-
painful tickling.
it's the
I don't like
it's
when
the
you start
poke.
punching my face.
It's the poke. Like no one likes to be poked,
Ow, ow.
but everybody likes to poke. It's the poke
Yeah.
versus poke. Like
Eric poked me.
it's fun
No.
to
Be
poke,
poked.
but it sucks to be poked.
No.
Well, in this,
And that
in
goes
this-
along with tickling too.
In this
Yeah.
documentary,
I don't know.
it starts
Tickling's
off
a different level.
with this like New Zealand
Oi,
journalist
mate. Oi.
Okay.
who comes across these videos of like these, and it's all like extremely attractive straight dudes in their like early 20s
Okay.
wearing like matching Adidas uniforms.
All right.
And they'll like be chained up to the bed, and like all these guys are just like on top tickling them, and they're laughing uncontrollably, and so the
Do they
journalist.
orgasm?
I mean, I don't know.
I would, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe some fluids drop out. I don't know, but
It just falls out.
Is that how you like?
is that how you guys orgasm?
Well, how does Adidas feel about this?
Yeah.
Well, that's I don't know if there's an official sponsorship from Adidas,
there
but they're missing out on a huge market.
So you know-
Adidas, give us money.
Tickle gear.
How
real
do
quick.
they determine who wins though?
That's the thing is it's labeled as competitive
Simple, the guy who-
tickling,
the
but
guy
that's
who-
really how they
Comes
lure like these straight guys. Like they'll pay them like $1,000
Shut up! I want to do
to
this.
come to a shoot, but the whole thing is like real quick is that the journalist tries to like find out more like who's producing these videos and like where is this coming
Yeah.
from.
Hot
And then
journalism.
he just uncovers this world of blackmail and like
Cool.
Whoa.
like all
I
this
love
like
blackmail.
homophobic like but it's actually because like it's crazy.
Let's do it. You should research that
Tickling-
shit. Let's do an
tickling fetish
episode
porn?
on that.
Yes.
That is.
I'm in.
I'm fucking on it.
That's
Can you just
okay.
do fetish porn
Let's
in
get
general?
that. Well, that's a
Yeah.
big topic. I mean, you really.
Pick
That's
three.
mm.
Pick two.
Fetish porn.
Pick
We're
one.
gonna do a lot of research.
Let's focus on tickling for now, and
We'll start
move
with
on.
tickling
We'll
and
see.
we'll end with scat butt plugs later.
Well, it's the way things go for us, we always seem to sort of like one thing
Yes.
begets
Yeah.
another.
True,
like
true, true.
Deuteronomy begat,
the
begat,
Bible.
begat. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, and that begat that.
And begat.
John 3:16 begat boners, which begat.
If we were like obsessive detectives on a case of our podcast
with
Yeah.
the
with
string.
yarn
I know.
going from like animal boners, Rainbow Man. It doesn't make sense, damn it. Where are the clues?
It all connects. It all
Oh
connects.
God!
Monster Ash and Woman's. I don't know what's going on.
They're hiding from us, the government.
Yeah.
Gwyneth Paltrow, where does
Gwyneth
she
Paltrow.
fit in?
Just a huge like circle around Gwyneth Paltrow.
Question mark
She's on
on
the
her
top.
face.
Yes, she is. Because
Oh
she's.
God!
Oh. Okay,
All
I feel
right,
better
so
now.
Trying to
calm down.
follow the.
Easy.
Calm down.
Guys,
Jenna ate a whole bag of coffee before.
Yeah.
You just
It was
Or-
hard. It was hard to watch.
Snorting beans.
Maybe a whole bag of
You
dicks.
took the beans,
Yes,
you crushed
that
them up
too.
on the table, and you took your key and you just.
It's just
Actually, in college, when I was like, because I get really tired when I drink, it's a problem. So in college,
Oh,
I
it's a
used to
depressant.
No
like,
way.
What?
What?
I used to take shots of like ground up coffee beans. Like,
Oh my God.
I
you-
would
wow.
like drink. I would take a shot of it and then drink water,
Ugh, that just
Wow.
made my stomach like
Why?
turn
Just
a
buy
little bit.
cocaine.
and then that too,
Okay.
and then I would
that
puke, and then I
Yep.
would stay awake, and then I would do coke.
Fuck.
Wow. Speaking of cocaine, I had to buy.
We need more college.
Yeah,
stories.
speaking of cocaine, how about that cocaine?
And I have graduated
So,
with a
Speaking of
3.5.
cocaine, if anybody's
Who's-
listening and you
who's
want to
got
enable,
it?
hit me up on Twitter.
No, I ended up having to buy it with one of our delivery drivers came back from somewhere with like cartons of cigarettes, and he's like, "Hey, you guys want to buy some cigs?" And he had the Newport 100s, and I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
not my brand, but I was
Yeah.
like, I'll take you up on it. And I'm sitting here smoking Newport 100s, and it makes me feel like I should be doing cocaine.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yes.
a pack of Newport 100 cigarettes
You
should
even get-
come
you
with
even
a
get the
little bit of
drip.
cocaine.
A little baggie, like a
with
sample
them,
pack,
like just a bump,
Yeah.
like and then you smoke the whole pack.
And then
Yes.
you can just dip your Newports in there.
Yeah, you're just like.
I personally, I really miss that like black market cigarette, like crossing borders business. Because I used to work
Yeah.
in like Fargo and Grand Forks a lot. So I'd come back with like 8 cartons of cigarettes.
And heroin.
Barrels.
They're just they're so cheap there. I miss that. I miss those
Flip 'em.
days.
Yeah.
I know. Even
Now I'm
Wisconsin.
paying full price like a chump.
Yeah.
Even Wisconsin's just a little cheaper. So I always
cheaper.
wait till I make it
No,
to
not anymore. I
Hudson.
think they jacked their price up.
Aww.
Yeah.
Thanks, Obama.
But you can buy beer at gas stations. That's pretty fucking
Yeah, I bought a thing of gin.
sweet.
Also
You can buy straight up.
expensive.
Yeah, you can buy straight up booze at gas
Except
stations.
a little baby
Yeah.
bottle of gin was 15 fucking bucks for
Ouch.
New Amsterdam, which should be $11 if it's a proper
Yeah,
establishment.
yeah. That's okay though.
I still bought it, so
You can't put a price on
you,
gin.
You still bought it.
and that's what
Drunkie.
and then I drink it in my car.
And
That's
dream
how
of
that works.
Brenden Frasier.
What? Pardon?
What?
You just heard Brenden Frasier,
That's all
and
I
then
heard,
like
too.
everything in your brain just like finally like that's how we get your attention. We
What?
figured it out.
Yeah.
What?
We were like talking
It's like
about
blowing a dog whistle. Like,
cocaine or something, and then
Gin in my car.
Marcus said Brendan Fraser,
It was like-
and it was like a dog hearing
you
a
rang?
whistle.
Yeah,
you
just-
rang? What?
Brendan
What?
Fraser, where?
Where? In my bed?
In the bed? Under the bed?
Under the bed? In the journal?
Tell me.
Where?
I don't smell him.
Where? I don't smell him.
You
Sweet,
can
sweet
smell
scent.
Fraser.
I don't smell his musk.
I only take Tarzan Fraser. That's it. Or George of the Jungle.
George of the
George
Jungle.
of the
Sorry.
Jungle Fraser, come
Sorry,
on. Or
how is-
Encino Man Fraser. You have options.
Yeah, true, but I prefer George of the Jungle.
Because he's
Fraser.
all sweaty.
You know what's the best
Yeah.
thing ever is that this
He's all
is
sweaty
the,
and shirtless.
This is the
too.
first episode
That's
where we can officially have Brendan Fraser as a proper segue
Yes.
into what we're talking about.
I just ran upstairs to pee, and
Did you get, that
and
was the
didn't know-
quickest shit I've ever seen.
I know, dude. I just didn't wipe. I was just like,
like
you
a
gotta
pebble-
hustle.
a pebble
We're
just
in a
flew
hurry.
out.
No. So I come back downstairs, and you guys are talking about, but I didn't know you were talking about Brendan Fraser. I thought you were talking about Fraser.
Oh.
And so you're like Encino Man Fraser, and I'm like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah,
Oh, holy shit, that's a Halloween costume that I would not figure out at a party.
George of the Jungle Fraser.
It's just like your hair's all fucking crazy, but you're wearing a suit. Well, Fraser had kind of wacky hair,
I
too.
love
guess.
Yeah,
Frasier.
he was born with
I love
wacky
Fraser
hair.
Fraser too.
Do you know Kelsey Grammer was like supposed to be on one of the 9/11 flights,
Really?
and then he had
Whoa.
a dream?
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Fascinating.
That's
What?
awesome.
Marcus
did
is
not-
yelling
No.
something. Are you saying that's false?
I said, what?
Okay, I thought you were like
No,
false. I was about to like go in there.
It's
and
fucking
Yeah, like just like yeah,
Lies.
bullshit.
Chelsea bullshit. Grammer should have died.
Gonna choke
9/11.
him with his
Planes
chains.
that crash
Punching
have a
his
weirdly...
face to custard.
Sorry.
And Mark Wahlberg too.
Oh.
He was supposed to be on
And
a
then we
On the
wouldn't have
plane
the
with
Wahlburger
Nick
chain.
Yeah.
That'd be a weird
You wouldn't have
flight
that.
anyway. Just like, is that Kelsey Grammer and Mark Wahlberg
We wouldn't
sitting
have
together?
had Daddy Daycare.
Terrible
Oh.
movie.
Or whatever.
I'm sorry, that's a
I just
terrible
want to see those
fucking
two
movie.
sit next to each other in a, like a,
Yeah.
on an airplane.
Awkward conversation.
Not even in first class. They're fucking coach.
What's
Back.
weird
Rest of the
about
chumps.
planes that crash have a bizarrely high incidence of cancellations and no-shows. So
Yeah.
when a plane crashes, the headline should almost be how
People
many
knew.
people fucking avoided getting
Yeah.
on that plane.
And let's find
'Cause-
him and ask some questions.
Well, a lot of people, they'll just get a feel. They'll just be like, I'm not getting on that plane. Or they'll be like, I had like horrific diarrhea that
Final
day. I
destination.
decided, yeah, that they just don't get on the plane. It's kind of amazing.
So I can
See,
never,
think
I can
that
never
every
fly
plane
again,
I'm
is what
about
you're
to
saying.
board
with
is
the
gonna
diarrhea.
crash and I'm gonna die.
Well, that's interesting because I fly standby, so I bank on the flights that don't have a lot of passengers.
That's
so I'm
great.
playing with
Oh,
fate. Fate's
you
like, come
are.
on, baby.
Playing with fate,
You're gonna
playing
die
with fire.
But I love flying. I love turbulence. There's something fucked up in me.
I do too.
I don't.
Between
I do
tickling
too.
and turbulence, I just love it. It's so
Tickling and
thrilling.
turbulence.
I like takeoff.
That's the ultimate
taking off,
fetish.
landing, and turbulence. Like that's the
I
best part of
Right,
Yes,
when, right when a
thank
plane
you.
gets turbulence, you just like grab a stranger and go, fuck me in the bathroom, let's go.
We're going down. We're going
2
down.
minutes.
Let's make a count.
The Mile High Club
Seatbelts are coming
is
back
on
on.
my bucket list.
On your bucket
Bucket
list?
list.
Get it? It's a
Okay.
Yeah.
Bucket,
Yeah, I like it.
bucket
Mhm.
list.
Bucket.
Mile High Club, it's definitely on the list.
It's right under
Bucket list.
dumpster.
With Brenden Frasier.
Goes dumpster.
Didn't you catch somebody like banging out on some dumpsters at your old
Catch a
job?
dumpster-
In an alley?
No, Peter caught, so Peter Shea, nicest guy in the world, best manager ever.
Peter, no one sweeter.
Peter, no one sweeter. Nicest guy. He had a hug for everybody. So nice.
There's
and there's
something
this girl
dark
that
about this guy.
No.
nothing.
He's a
He's
saint.
an
I'm gonna
angel.
find out.
Peter.
I know his
No, but
name.
there's
now.
this chick that used to come
Doesn't
in.
he holds a record for the University of Minnesota, doesn't he?
For what?
No,
Longest hug?
Richfield High
Longest
School.
hug.
Okay, Richfield High School.
For
That's
to be
fastest,
arrested.
fastest, he's a fast trackman.
Longest hug?
Best mustache.
longest hug.
No, but there's this chick that used to come in, Chrissy.
Longest tickle.
Gross. Well, I always called her
Chrissy
sweaty.
sounds like a dumpster fucker.
Sweaty Chrissy.
Dumpster
Poor
fuck.
thing. She
She had a lot of glands.
I don't know. She wanted to be loved like everybody else.
Yeah.
I don't
Some
know. It
people
seemed like
just
she
can't
kinda had a
Surrounded
hard
by
time
trash and
making
Funyuns
friends.
bags.
But these four, I was just at the end of my shift, and these four fucking douchebags came in.
Uh-oh.
Three of
love
them were wearing
douchebags.
Twins jerseys, and one of them had on that fucking bedazzled shirt, the bedazzled
yeah.
skulls with like wings, and he was like the king.
crosses.
Like
He
Ed,
was the
Ed Hardy?
I
He's the
guess.
leader.
Yeah, he was the king of the
Oh, I
douchebags.
love Ed Hardy
King
shirts.
douche.
And he was trying to mac on me. He thought he was like super slick, and he was trying to put the and he
What's
said to me,
up?
and I worked in a bar downtown, so I could say what I want.
Yes.
And he said to me, he's like, hey, these guys are nursing your beers, their beers. He's like, why don't you get some nipples for their beers because they're nursing them? And I said, oh, I'm sorry, we just ran out. We gave them to the last bunch of pussies who were in here.
Yes.
I know. Yes. So I said that. I left.
And
Come to
then
find out later that king of
they
the
banged Chrissy
douchebags
in a dumpster.
and Chrissy ended up going outside to the alley where we smoke, and Peter stepped out to let him know that they were closing up, and he was giving her head in the alley in the dumpster.
Chrissy.
He was
Sweaty
giving
Chrissy.
Christy head.
Sweaty Chrissy in the
King
dumpster.
of the douchebags
Motherfucking
was giving sweaty
dumpster
Chrissy
fuck, yeah.
head
That's some
in the
slobbery-
alley,
that's a
and
lot of
Peter
liquid.
saw it. Peter walked in on it,
Hey guys,
and
we're
then
about to close.
Peter.
Oh my
Yeah.
God!
Peter had to 86 her. The next time she came in, Peter actually had to like sit down and be like,
that-
Chrissy, we can't let you come in here anymore. That was out of line. Like,
Can't
he had to
have your
a talk with
vag
her.
chewed out at in a dumpster.
Why
in the
not?
alley.
And
do
that's
it.
bullshit.
That is discrimination.
But I felt bad.
don't
Peter
think
needed
it
therapy
is.
for fucking years after
I'm
that.
gonna
That
open a
was-
bar where you can get eat up by anyone, anywhere.
Just want to hear that conversation. Like, as someone who's been 86 several times,
Yeah.
I've never been 86 for this.
Well, I suppose, when you are in a restaurant, you are eating out.
Oh,
So,
Bam.
technically.
Pow, pow.
Hey, Evan, enjoying your Coors Light? Yeah. It's going to be the
Very
last one here. You were masturbating by the dumpster last night.
Savor it, my friend.
Freddie was
Savor it.
taking out the garbage. You saw the whole thing.
And
We have you on
what-
security footage.
Oh, no.
You
He
watched?
jizzed on someone's door handle of their
and
Corolla.
you've made already $10,000 on Pornhub. We uploaded it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So
speaking,
it's a catch-22.
yep, thinking of douchebags, I work at a generic software company,
Mhm.
and the sales team is like bro central. They have a
Is it brocentric?
Is that a specific department?
yeah,
of
it's literally the
company?
sales bros. Like they're all bros, and they have the A.
a lot of high
Sales
fiving
bros.
going on.
It says A, B, C, D, E of sales. It says always be constantly dialing everyone.
Okay.
That's
okay.
Work with like Leo and Wolf of Wall Street?
No, I work with guys named like fucking Chad.
I knew you were going to say Chad.
I work with legitimate fucking Chads.
Scott. Somewhere there's a Chad out there who's not so bad.
I
But his full name is Chadley.
Chadley.
Chadley Ramler.
Chadley Ramler, MD.
That's there's Doctor. We have his card. His
Dr. Rammer?
Yes, Dr. Chadley
No,
Ramler.
I would
We
suck
saved
his
his-
dick by a dumpster.
You have to see the business card. It's upstairs. It's huge. It's
So
like
it's a
that. It's an
novelty-sized
extra
business
big
card.
business
Yeah.
card.
If your name's
And he's got
Rammer,
a
your
bow tie.
font size has to be at least 72.
Ramler.
No, it's
Ramler.
Rammer. We're rewriting his last name.
Ramler?
Yeah.
Ramler. Chadley Ramler.
Chadley
I like
Ramler, MD.
I barely know her.
Yes.
Ram her.
Rambler, I barely know her. All right.
Hey,
Calm
that
down.
was a terrible joke.
Ooh.
I do like talking in the horse voice.
It is
Oh, it's gone
Yeah.
My dick is 17 inches long.
That's my horse voice.
Yeah, all horses talk
There's
that
a
way.
lot of dick energy today, and I'm feeling it.
Yeah, that's a big.
I don't want to hear that dick song.
How big
again,
is
though.
King
No.
King Tut's dick?
I never got sick of something so quickly.
We're gonna talk about mummy dick today, right?
We probably
Yeah,
some mummy
there's
dicks.
like 4
Let's talk
pages.
about what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we should actually get
We
get
should talk
going.
about it.
What's up?
What's
What's up? Welcome to Coffee, Donuts, and Fucked Up Shit. I don't think we've done that in a long time.
Just a proper
Hi.
intro?
Yeah. Hello. I'm Rebecca.
I'm Evan.
Hello, I'm Eric. Thank you for tuning in once more.
I'm Jenna. Come meet me at the alleyway.
Gonna get some sweaty
I
head.
want to
Yeah.
get 86.
Who wants to get 86 tonight, bitches?
Suck a dick.
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa.
Whatever. I'm cool. I'm easy. So today, you guys, we are going to talk about this. Kind of blew my mind. I had no idea. The many
stoked.
uses of mummies.
Yeah.
You don't know how many fucking weird things people used to do with mummies. I mean, they would use them for medicine.
I got an idea.
Fuel. They would
I'm trying to
fuck
think of-
them. No, wait,
The
they
first
didn't fuck
sex
them. Maybe
doll.
they fucked
Yeah.
Yeah,
them.
I would say they would fuck.
Might have-
Somebody
fucked
humped a
one.
mummy
I'd
somewhere.
Somebody humped a mummy.
Brenden
Somebody was
Frasier
like
was wrapped
putting
up
it
in
in the
cotton.
tomb, looking around.
Like, well, fuck, I got a couple minutes.
gonna
And
get
nobody's
when
coming.
in Rome, right?
You know, like I was like putting the mummy away, and there's nobody. It's fucking dead. Like who fucking gives a shit? Right?
His mouth was wide
Only
open
I'm
already.
supposed to give a shit, and I don't give a shit.
Evan,
I
you're
don't
not
even
allowed
give
to
a
go to
shit.
museums anymore now.
There's-
Children's museums.
You know what? We can't count the places that it's not allowed to
Yeah,
go
we've
to.
got a mummy exhibit.
But one of the craziest things that they used mummies for was they used mummy bandages to make paper. Apparently, see, because this is a really controversial topic.
Woo!
So we're gonna
Mummy paper?
Mummy paper is a very controversial
against it.
talk. There's people who are like
not real.
no, and people who are like yes. And I tried to break it down to just the facts, ma'am, so
Yeah.
that we could maybe figure out what we think
You
about
mean
mummy
like
paper.
journalism?
Like, maybe I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah. Whoa, slow down. Don't
Shut the
fucking
fuck up,
Not
Evan.
set the bar too high.
don't break your arm, pat yourself on
Don't
the
be a
back.
little
Settle down.
bitch and talk about journalism.
You're a big dog.
Hey, mummy, if you want to fuck, don't say anything. All right.
Blink twice if you
Insist.
blink twice if you don't want to fuck. She didn't blink. It's good.
All right, I'm gonna get the boring shit out of the way really quick, and we have some great sources today. AncientOrigins.net, The Life and Death of Mummy Brown by Philip McCuit. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, buddy.
Mummy Brown?
That sounds like a
Mummy Brown. That's
fucker.
about the paint.
Sounds like a guy.
Yeah.
Like a guy's name.
Smithsonian.com, Strange Remains, and the book I used the most was Bandages, Bitumen, Bodies in Business.
Ooh.
Egyptian Mummies as Raw Materials by Chris Elliott from the University of
Elliott.
Southampton.
Not that
Not
Chris
that
Elliott.
Chris. I wish it was that.
Not-
Chris
not
Elliott.
Not
Yep.
Get a Life, Chris Elliott.
Captain.
Let's pretend
Wait,
it
is
was.
Captain Ron
Cabin
the right
Boy.
Yeah, Cabin Boy.
Let's
Cabin
let's
Boy.
Captain
pretend
Ron
it
is
was
Kurt
not Chris
Russell,
Elliott.
Yeah, yeah. Cabin Boy, I forgot about that
Cabin
movie.
Boy, dude.
God damn, it's
Guys-
been a long
That
time.
was his
Goldie
big
Hawn
break.
in that too.
Yeah.
His big break.
That was his chance. And the studios fucked it up. Free Chris Elliott.
No, he's still doing stuff. He's on
he's on Adult
in
Swim.
Scary movie.
Schmidt
Or
Creek.
yeah, scary movie.
He's on Schitt's Creek.
Or Schitt's
He's
Creek.
hilarious on Schitt's Creek. And he had what did he have? Like
He
a
had
hawk?
Eagle Heart.
Eagle Heart.
Yeah.
Hawk, some kind of bird of prey.
Great. It was a great
I
movie.
don't know.
Great.
I'm just imagining
ca-
Chris Elliott
series.
writing that
Words
mummy
are hard.
book with a quill.
I bet he would on parchment. So people have been fascinated with mummies forever, centuries. Of course, mummies are mystical and mysterious and good for Brenden Frasier movies, as
Love
we
it.
all know.
Yes.
I'll
Yes.
wrap him up in some
And
mummy
Tom
papers.
Cruise movies?
No.
I don't like
Nobody
Tom
saw that
Cruise.
new
Don't
Mummy.
care. Nothing is good for him.
He was in a mummy
Is
movie.
he a
He's
Scientologist?
in a fucking mummy movie, dude.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is
He's
Scientologist,
the
right?
Scientologist.
Why are we still making mummy movies?
Why are we still talking about Tom Cruise?
I don't know.
Let's talk about Brenden Frasier.
Yeah, let's talk about Brenden Frasier and mummies and how he'd wrap his dick up like a mummy in toilet paper. What was
Called a
that?
mummy condom.
Yeah.
It protects against.
Oh, no, it fell off.
Eh.
So people in the 16th and 17th centuries were already using mummies in paint and medicine, but really it was Napoleon's occupation of Egypt in 1798 that mummy mania started. There
Mummy
was something
mania.
called mummy mania. People were
First
like,
Beatles.
whoa, we're mad
Give me
for
the
this stuff.
mummies.
Like WrestleMania.
WrestleMania, Mummy Mania, but there was also a mummy
Hulkamania.
trade.
That's what I was like. Hulkamania.
Hulkamania. Love manias. Mountain Dew Mania.
Yeah.
Frasier
Bring
mania.
Dumpster
Fred-
oral sex mania.
Yeah, not a thing yet, but make it
Alley
happen.
Sex Mania. So
Coming to
I
a Dave and Buster's.
I really had to put a lot of pieces together for myself researching.
You had to
some of this
wrap your
stuff.
head around it.
Yep, I
Well,
did.
because you're probably going with like what thousands of years of like mummy tracing back and everything.
Well, and it's sketchy too. We'll get into to it. But I had like questions that I had to answer because I had to figure some shit out. So what I've gathered was that because they had something that was called the mummy trade, it happened for a couple of reasons. First, Napoleon's occupation of Egypt, he brought along like a bunch of scientists and scholars and bartenders.
Classic.
I don't know. And what'd you say?
I said, ha ha ha.
Oh.
It is. That's exactly what he said.
And when they came
Ha,
back,
ha.
they brought a ton of Egyptian artifacts with them, which like fascinated the public. The second reason that I think this happened and that I find significant is the modernization of Egypt that was happening at the time. It started around the turn of the 1800s. So while Napoleon brought stuff back from Egypt, he also brought a few ideas to Egypt. He brought printing presses, like technologies that they hadn't figured out yet, which inspired textile mills and other ventures by the Egyptians. Because they were trying to improve their economy, and Pasha Muhammad Ali had a reputation for being unscrupulous in attempts to restore economic stability and create an industrial infrastructure.
Okay, so he's just trying to beef up the place.
He was trying to beef up the place, but he had he did not give a shit about destroying. He was going to destroy the Great Pyramids of Giza for building materials.
Fuck yeah, tear it down.
Yes, get rid of this
put
shit.
a Trump casino right over
shit's
here.
an
and
eyesore.
Knock these fucking pyramids down. Eyesore.
Get him out of here.
Get him out.
Get these pointy boob looking things out of here. I don't know.
We don't need these. We don't need these. Get them out of here.
Madonna boobs
Madonna boobs.
She's got pointy boobs.
in the 80s.
Madonna has pointy boobies.
Shut up, horse.
Hello,
Jokes. Have you seen my 18-inch penis?
Oh, horse.
So in the December 10th, 1825 issue of the Independent Chronicle and Boston Patriot, there's an article that stated, it is intended to build a paper mill on the banks of the Nile and to manufacture writing paper on a small scale. The Pasha, it appears, regards the contents of the ancient pyramids and tombs as among the resources of the country, for after a few questions about cotton and hemp rags, he inquired whether the wrappings of mummies would not make good paper.
Yeah.
Well, with
Got all
it.
those fucking
So-
smelly old mummy wrappers laying around.
Yeah.
What can we do with them?
So Egypt is trying to modernize, and then they got all this shit that's coming back to Europe from Egypt after Napoleon was there. So I'm thinking, and also Egypt had recently opened their arms to tourism. So everybody was coming there because it was like the coolest fucking thing to do. Everybody wanted trinkets and trips and anything they could get their hands on. They collected Egyptian relics with competitive ferocity.
Nice.
It was like the coolest thing.
It's like
Just
fucking
like tickling.
like pogs.
A report from the 1830s stated, quote, a craze for things Egyptian had taken Europeans by storm. Diplomats and tourists, merchants and dukes all vied with one another to assemble spectacular collections of mummies and other antiquities. And what they would have is this thing called a cabinet of curiosities. You'd be like, oh, I'm a gentleman. Would you like to come look at my cabinet of curiosities?
Only if you eat me out
Slowly
in front of
zip.
it.
Unzip.
Yeah, unzip his pants.
Go on, explore. Curious like a cat, are we?
I would like to look more into the
You've
cabinet.
awoken the mummy.
Oh, run for your lives. Oh, don't.
Next.
$5, please. And it was super cool for fashionable gentlemen to have cabinets of curiosities.
Just like Evan has one.
Yeah, I got a cabinet of curiosities. Here's a used condom that was the third time I fucked. And I got a Band-Aid. I don't know who's that from. And that's about it.
I feel like it's just your book bag that you just unzip and there's just random shit in there.
Oh, I still got some. Oh, cool. Got some Seagrams.
Oh, that's a whippet cracker. I haven't
Use
seen
this
that
for
for
I'll
years.
say this for later.
It's an empty Cheese Whiz canister.
Put something in there, maybe. I don't know.
Get curious.
I'm not throwing this out. Not throwing this out yet.
It's good still.
Still good.
One fun thing that I learned is people who are in the tourism biz in Egypt, they would plant mummies so that tourists so that everybody could go home with a mummy. They're like,
Like
what?
Easter eggs.
This mummy just happened to be here.
we
Yeah,
keep
you
it,
could buy
Mom?
it. But if you couldn't afford a whole mummy, you could just buy a hand
Just
Yeah.
part, just
Or
piece.
just a
or just a thing, a
finger,
nose. I don't
chunks.
know.
an eyeball,
Whatever
What
you-
kind of
whatever
mummy
you feel like.
parts would you purchase?
a dick.
No, you can't just say a dick.
I
You
feel
can't
like
have
a hand would be like a kind of
Yeah,
the
hand.
go-to.
Hand would be
I want
awesome.
a head. I
And
want
it,
a
would,
whole
it
head.
could be
You
like
go for head.
I'd go for head.
The whole thing?
just a
whole
just a
head.
mummy
What if you only have like a part of the
Scary.
head, like an ear? I think an ear would
Ear
be
would be fun.
I would
Yeah.
take the section of the bicep between elbow and shoulder, but so it wasn't discernible. It would just
Yeah.
look like a slab of meat.
Yeah.
I would
It'd be
take.
Or
cool
a
to
piece
get
of
some mummy
firewood.
feet and then put like a bar stool like on top of
Oh,
it.
yeah.
So, make it useful.
Maybe just like a jaw, like the
Ooh,
bottom
Ooh,
jaw.
I like that. A
Use it for an
jaw.
ashtray.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I like that.
Good. You'd
This
be good
is
in the mummy
creative.
tourism biz.
Yeah,
Yeah, you got a knack.
I always
for
got something
it.
to fall back on.
Can't afford the whole mummy. How about this jaw?
Mm-hmm.
Look at this. Look at the many uses.
Many uses. Just like
So many uses.
Okay,
drinking
now-
a small amount of fluid out of it or something.
You could
Like,
use
yeah, you can use it for anything.
The kneecap would be good for like a jewelry holder.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone?
No.
Maybe. I don't know.
No.
Mummy jaw though. That was
I like the
way
jaw.
better.
Back to the jaw.
Jaw's good.
I hate the mummy. I'm done recording. I don't like mummies anymore.
Brenden Frasier.
Oh, come on.
Thank you.
There it is.
Oh my gosh, I was losing myself.
So this fascination combined with open tourism also led to a numerous amount of amateur expeditions,
Yes.
which resulted in
I
casual
love
destruction.
those two words together so much. Let's go over here.
People were they're just digging up shit for they would just casually destroy historical sites and artifacts and like who knows how much was
We're
fucking
amateur adventurers.
thrown away during this shit. It's ridiculous. Thomas Pettigrew, who we will talk about later, he's
Good.
the guy who's
I love the name Pettigrew.
he was the rock
Because
star
you
of
have to
mummy
talk like
unwrapping.
this.
Yes.
Oh, you have, absolutely.
No.
Well, then you can.
Good sir.
Since you have to talk like this, why don't you quote him here in his book from the history of Egyptian mummies?
No sooner was it credited that mummy constituted an article of value in the practice of medicine than many speculators embarked in the trade. The tombs were sacked, and as many mummies as could be obtained were broken into pieces for the purpose of sale.
Oh,
Pipe noises.
Haha, you almost said a wrong word when you were reading a dummy.
Caught it midway.
So those are like why I figure like kind of this shit happened. But before we get into like the whole mummy trade, we're gonna talk about what we were doing with it first,
Okay.
which was paint.
Fucking.
Ooh.
Fucking.
So
No.
For centuries,
not-
mummy fucking was a tourist attraction of Egypt.
Had to be.
That's my
European
kind of
playboys.
expedition.
And so I gotta say because this is
Mummy
so
brothel.
There's a Brenden Frasier.
You've been in the
movie
red
for you.
light. This is the dead light district.
Oh, that was good.
so much that I've discovered in my research is very much it's like I won't say that they started an industry out of it, but I won't say that nobody tried it either.
Yeah.
Like so there's so much of this like kind of falls under that category for me. Mummy paint. Mummies started being used for paint in the 16th century, and it lasted for like 400 fucking years. It didn't stop
I
until the
saw
60s.
an ad for it on a Nickelodeon
Until the
show.
1960s.
Mummy paint.
Oh, God. So this particular shade of brown pigment was made from the mummified remains of humans and felines
Ooh.
and mixed with white pitch and myrrh. It was said that just one mummy could provide an art supplier and his customers with this weird paint for like 20 years.
Damn.
Wow, that's a lot
that's
of
a lot-
years.
Mummy
That's
paint.
good. Yeah, you one mummy. You're like, man, I'm in business.
Yeah.
I'm starting an art store. It was known as Egyptian brown, Caledonian brown, mummy brown, mamia, and momi, and was described as being somewhere between a burnt umber and a raw umber.
What's
but
an umber?
It's kind of meaningless to me.
I
There's
bought
shades
an
of brown.
Egyptian brown from my hair once. It'll knock you right out.
Yes.
And just your outfit
Mummy
is so
brown.
convincing with that.
Hey, you want some Egyptian brown?
You want some mummy? I got
Let
China
me eat
white. I
you
got
out by
mummy
the
brown.
dumpster and I'll give you a bag.
You got a little Egyptian
No,
brown
I'm not
in
falling
your
for that
beard.
again.
Going by that dumpster.
I know what happens out there.
Someone's
Let me
getting-
into the bar, please!
Someone's getting sweaty head by that dumpster.
Oh.
I'll buy my heroin by the bus stop, please.
Oh,
Like
he's
a
there
Normal
too.
human.
Like a civilized adult.
Tax-paying citizen.
Good American. This translucent shade of brown was created the particular color was created not just by the human remains themselves, but the combination of resins, beeswax, spices, sawdust, and bitumen found in the mummies. So, because these ingredients were like kind of uncontrolled and unpredictable, it made mummy brown not exactly the most reliable
Yeah.
paint. It had a tendency to crack, and as I said, it was translucent.
You could only get brown, I'm assuming, from mummies. There's no
We got your
purple.
brown. We got your
They didn't have
brown.
mummy brown. They didn't have mummy red.
Okay.
No, it's like when you mix all the paint together. It's brown
like-
every time.
It's like suicide soda.
Yeah.
When you go to
Oh.
Burger King and you fill your cup with all the sodas, and then you just like
sick.
suicide pop.
Mixing Play-Doh
Isn't that-
together.
Yeah, would you guys
You get
do
brown.
that?
Call it
I
Did you
did.
drink that?
I wasn't aware it's called suicide.
What did you call it?
stupid pop.
Kamikaze.
Kamikaze. It wasn't suicide. Same
Holocaust
difference.
soda.
'Cause I'm a
9/11 juice.
Dr. Kevorkian punch.
I would drink that on New Year's Eve, and hope there's no 2020.
Oh man. So, as I was saying, amazingly, the use of this paint actually lasted up until the 20th century. Its popularity dwindled for several reasons. Number one, the fact that people began to realize that there were actual dead bodies in
Just
it.
don't think this is a real mummy?
It is not real.
Oh, it is.
Oh, well, we have a story about that coming up. Two, they were starting to run out of mummies. Three, people began to understand the scientific and cultural value of studying archaeological artifacts instead of playing
Not just grinding them up.
science with them.
Not just grinding them up and putting them in paint.
And eating them. And then did I mention the fact that people began to realize that there were actually... You mean there are real dead bodies in here?
Nah. That's just
Don't
a
be a
marketing,
dummy, it's a
marketing
mummy.
tactic.
So there's a story about an artist by the name of Edward Burne-Jones who gave his tube of mummy brown paint a decent burial when he realized it was actually made of mummies. To quote his wife... I'm going to do his wife here. We were sitting together after lunch, the men talking about different colors that they used, when Mr. Tadima startled us by saying he had lately been invited to go and see a mummy that was in his colorman's workshop before it was ground down into paint. Edward scornfully rejected the idea of the pigment having anything to do with a mummy, said the name must be only borrowed to describe a particular shade of brown. But when assured that it was actually compounded of real mummy, he left us at once, hastened to the studio, and returning with the only tube he had, insisted on our giving it a decent burial there and then. So a hole was bored in the green grass at our feet, and we all watched it put safely in, and the spot was marked by one of the girls planting a daisy root above it.
We had tea.
And he broke the curse.
And that, well, yeah, that's my
Billy
fancy,
Zane was unleashed. Yes.
that's my fancy lady voice. Woo,
That's good. That's good. I like it.
not far from the horse voice.
They're similar.
Whoa,
More sophisticated.
it's like
than
woo,
It's always, you gotta sound like somebody's like tickling your scrotum with a feather.
woo. I don't think we ever did we let you finish talking about tickling?
No, but
Do we ever let?
I don't think we need to.
We gotta
do we?
save it.
new episode dropping soon. Tickling fetish porn
Check us out on SoundCloud, bro.
And
SoundCloud.
Pornhub.
2020.
And
We're
Pornhub.
not on something.
Yeah, we should start releasing our stuff on Pornhub.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll
idea.
increase the audience.
We'll just have the audio of our shit with like some people fucking.
There you
Yeah.
go.
You know what people do on that website, right? Like they're not gonna
What?
they're not like gonna stick around to listen to a
What
podcast.
Well,
well,
after you
that-
masturbate, you're a little tired, and maybe you want
Yeah.
something to listen to while you rest.
Fair enough.
To quote,
'Cause you've been
to
jacking
quote
off for
the
an
great
hour.
Burt Reynolds from Boogie Nights, I want them to stay in the theater after they come.
See?
Yeah, fair enough.
See?
All right.
He had a
Like,
vision.
that's why people buy Playboy
Even though his
for
vision
the
did not
articles.
come to fruition in the movie, but
But he did come to fruition. Yep.
well, people can come multiple times.
Yes.
Yeah, I hope
They
you
can.
do.
Dr. Evan.
Hey, you can come more than once, okay?
you could do it one time, but then another time later.
Maybe for breakfast.
So Mummy Brown was finally laid to rest in 1964 when the last art
Great year.
supply.
It's a good run.
It was a
Yeah,
lot. 400
that is
years.
impressive as fuck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of those bitches last 20 years, man. Do
That's-
the math.
We're
or
running
not.
out of mummies.
Hey, we're running out of mummies over
Mummy
here.
math right there.
So C. Roberson was a supplier and manufacturer of fine art supplies in London. To quote the managing director, who wants to read the managing director's quote?
I will.
Remember, he's British.
Okay? We
We might have a few other.
we might have a few odd limbs lying around somewhere. But
British, not 80.
but not enough to make any more paint. We sold our last complete mummy some years ago for, I think, £3. Perhaps we shouldn't have. We certainly can't get any more.
I would murder everyone if they talk like that.
Mummy, I want some tea.
Oh, God.
Welcome to Burger King. What can I do for you? That's one number 3. Would you like a Coca-Cola or Fanta?
Would you like to upgrade,
No, goddammit!
kind sir? For only 39 cents
Don't
more,
want onion rings.
you can get an extra
Do you want
large.
to try our new chicken fries?
I'm not going to London.
I'm getting a
Oh, shit.
job at Burger
Speaking
King.
of Burger King, they got cheesy tots now.
No shit. Let's go.
Just saying.
We're going to take a break.
We'll be right back.
Then we come back. Mummies. Oh, guys. Cheesy tops.
We gotta take another break. I gotta shit.
Anyone else putting the cheesy tops up their ass?
Oh, they're so warm.
Like a mummy finger.
They go up well, but they're hard to get back out.
And yeah, you
That's
gotta
the
crack them
trouble.
while they're in there.
Well, you kinda
so the
gotta-
cheese.
Oh, like grind them up.
You gotta kind of give them a little.
Like a little rock tumbler.
Yeah.
Just flex the muscle and they'll
It's
pop
like
right
putting
up.
a gerbil up your ass.
Yeah. So the color Mummy Brown still exists in the art world today, except now it is made with
That's the sequel to The Color Purple.
No, no.
Get the spray bottle out.
So except now
I
it's
never read that
made.
book. I don't know what it is.
It's made with hematite instead of desecrated human remains.
Okay.
And it goes by an alternate name, as I think we all do sometimes. It goes by Caput Mortuum, which translates to, get this, deadhead
Yes.
or worthless remains. And all I know is if worthless remains also means deadhead, then that nickname makes even more sense than it ever did
Fuck
before.
Jerry Garcia.
Yeah, eat shit, hippies.
He was an asshole.
Yeah, well, he was
Was he?
missing a finger.
Was he?
I think
yeah.
so.
Yeah,
Jerry-
he's missing a
Yeah,
digit.
he's missing a finger.
Jerry.
I think
too.
it's just like a digit or like a part
It's
of a
like
finger.
it's not missing
He's
a
missing
finger
a
if
li-
you're like fucking top third.
Part of a finger.
Boy, a
most
lot
of
of
a
missing
finger.
you still
fingers in
collect
today's
disability.
episode.
Yeah, we talked about missing fingers a lot more than I
Do
was
you
expecting
think
today.
Jerry Garcia kept his finger?
Yes.
I don't know how how did he lose his finger?
No, he lost that shit. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he couldn't find.
Hey, you
Like,
guys see my finger, man?
you guys, anybody like see my guitar playing
I was
finger laying
soloing
around?
for about 4 hours straight, and now I don't know where I put my finger.
Sorry, guys, I fucking had to blow my nose from laughing.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say I had to blow your ass out.
Guys, I had to run to the Burger King, get some cheesy tots, put them up my ass, and just poof them out one by one into my mouth.
That had to happen right now.
It had to happen.
I couldn't.
I apologize for the inconvenience.
Fuck. Okay, that's which one's the left?
Should we start a Grateful Dead cover band called Worthless Remains?
Worthless remains. I love it.
That's a good idea. They can open for Steely Dads. Steely Dads.
Steely Dead.
Yeah, one of the Murph boys put on some Dead, in the van.
Oh my god.
Oh.
And you know what? Honestly, they're fine. I understand it. I get it. But like, holy fuck.
It gets long-winded. I think that's my problem. It's like, dude, man, this
Have
is
you
like a
watched
7-minute song. This is your second guitar solo in here.
Have you watched Electric Apricot?
Fucking
Yes.
Yes, Marcus, great movie.
Hell yeah.
Allman Brothers are like that too. I'm noticing. Like,
Yeah.
it's like 12-minute long songs and just so many fucking guitar
I
solos.
like almonds.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I unplugged a jukebox once.
Yeah.
Okay, no, yeah, that's exactly
You're
right.
gonna plug
7
Evan if you
minutes
just shut
later.
the fuck up. Evan, I'm gonna wrap your mouth like a fucking mummy.
up the mountain.
Yeah.
The fire.
No, I used to work at this shit. You know what? I'm gonna call it out. Tailgate on fucking 60th.
We hate them.
I will set that place on fucking fire. That place is fucking garbage. I
Let's
hate
do
that
it.
place. But anyway, somebody put a fucking Allman Brothers song on the jukebox, and I think I let it ride for like 12 minutes, and then I unplugged the jukebox. I'm like, no more. Fucking boop.
Done.
And plugged it
Over.
in.
Fuck you,
I heard the customer
Allman
like in
Brothers.
the distance be like, hey.
Hey man, that's the
my
best
favorite
part.
Hey,
What the fuck?
why did Eric and the Mummy get 86 from the bar?
Why?
Why?
Hey.
He got dead head.
Oh!
I don't think that's very funny at all. that's not a joke. That's just accurate.
That happened. So what? Get over it,
What are you
man.
gonna do about it?
Nice.
You think you're better than me?
You think you're better than me?
All right, we're on to the next thing that we use mummies for. Mummies,
Sex.
maybe.
What?
Well,
We're gonna get to
we'll talk about it. We'll bring it up.
What's next? Not Brenden
mummy
Frasier.
medicine,
Woo!
or as I
AKA
like to
mummy
call
sex.
it, pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
Zango.
I like that.
Thank you. Full of jokes. But first, we have to talk a bit about bitumen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do tell me about
yes.
bitumen.
Well, bitumen is
All
a
about
little
the
bitch.
bitumens, baby.
You ever meet somebody really shitty and you're like, I bet it seems
a little
like
bitumen.
she's been drinking her bitumen today.
Oh.
A big glass of bitumen this
Bitumen.
morning.
Well, she wouldn't want to because bitumen is a naturally occurring organic byproduct of decomposed plants.
Goop uses it.
Okay.
It is a form of
Really?
petroleum, also known as asphaltum or tar. There is also a variation called piss asphalt, which makes me giggle. Yeah, piss asphalt.
Piss asphalt.
That's a punk band, isn't it? Piss
It's like something your
asphalt?
dad would talk about, like, hey, don't get any of that piss asphalt on you.
It
Don't get any of that on your pants.
Yeah, it'll give you a chemical burn.
Yeah.
It is black, oily, waterproof, and flammable. Just think about that. Waterproof and flammable.
Cool.
I want to play with
That's
this.
dangerous.
I want to rub my body in it.
But bitumen has been used by humans for at least 40,000 years in many different ways, shapes, and forms, including the process of mummification. In fact, we still use it today for paving streets and roofing houses.
I thought you
Yeah,
were gonna
again,
say
your old
I
man.
thought you were gonna say roofing. I was like, that could be an interesting use.
Yeah,
but-
yeah. You just get a
The
roofing.
point of roofing someone is that they don't detect it.
Spoken like a true expert.
Yeah.
Dr. Evan.
Dr. Robin. Dun, 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 dun.
I didn't know we were doing the Dr.
Why
Evans
does my
segment.
G&T taste like tar?
Dr. Robin.
That's me.
Fun fact. The word mummy is derived from the Persian word for bitumen, or mummia. Okay. So, bitumen, we got to go a little bit, we're going to go back in time. Bitumen was highly prized by the Greeks and used for a variety of medical purposes. And these uses and ideas traveled through the centuries, distorted with time and retelling, ultimately reaching the Europeans and blending into their already fucking bizarre medical practices.
Those Greeks.
I know. Well, so
Horny, sweaty, fat Greeks.
Harry.
And their boys.
Swarthy.
let's see, where were we?
Talking about the Greeks.
Europeans, bizarre
It was
medical
believed
practices.
that bitumen was the black.
Yes.
was highly prized.
No,
No,
I'm
we're
with, I got it.
Shut up.
Got it.
I
She's
got
got
it.
it. She's
got it.
Stay
It was
quiet in there.
believed that bitumen was the black resinous substance found on mummies.
Ooh.
And sometimes it was, but usually it was resin. What's
Smoke that
funny?
shit.
What
Like
kind
you're
of
out of
resin is it?
Smoke the tar on the
Mummy
bottom
res,
of the
bro.
bowl. Anyone? Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes you got to do that.
Yeah.
What's funny is that they thought that the royal corpses were the ones that were coated with bitumen, and therefore they were more valuable. But in actuality, it was more likely that the commoners would be the ones mummified with bitumen. Which brings us to corpse medicine. And we are going to talk about podcast begatting a podcast begatting a podcast. We're going to do corpse medicine, you guys.
It's enough for its own thing.
Oh, it's fucking fun. We're going to talk a little bit about it right now. So I think we all know that medicine was pretty weird for centuries. It was a
Yeah.
peculiar mix of
Throw a leech on it.
just kind of big trench in their head.
You've
and
got
it'll
too
be
much blood.
Why don't we just kill him
Way too much
instead?
blood.
Let's get some of that blood out of you.
Pray the herpes away. That's
Exactly.
what my doctor just said the other day.
Yeah, that's still a.
Is that
medical
Dr. Evan?
practice.
Have you been seeing Dr. Evan?
Did you pray your herpes away and it's still there? Get on your knees and stop praying again.
Hey, did you try giving me more money?
Dr. Evan.
You pray harder, you give me more
Yeah,
money, the
okay.
herpes
I think
should
it's
go away.
incurable.
That's how that goes. So medicine at the time was a peculiar mix of astrology, religion, like a rough idea of physiology, herb lore, guesswork, superstition. I mean, they're really there, but you know, we got to figure shit out, trial and
Yeah,
error.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But one notion that we ran with really hard was the notion of like for like. So this basically boils down to got pains in your head, eat some skull about it. You can't
I
pee.
like this logic.
Right. So
Can't pee, drink the pee.
drink some pee. Exactly.
That's what I do every morning.
And that was kind of the philosophy behind it. Everyone was doing it, eating body parts. Priests, royalty, scientists, physicians, they were using bones, blood, skin, internal organs, and fat to cure their ailments. A few people saw it for what it was, which is cannibalism.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You guys think this is cannibalism?
No.
Shut up, eat your liver.
Eat your skin.
Eat your skull.
Drink your pee.
Wash it down with some nice warm cup of pee.
One 17th century brain scientist. Sorry, what are you, a 17th century brain scientist?
That sounds like a very prestigious position, but it's just a guy who had a hammer.
I know, and a chisel. He's like,
Yeah,
I'm trying to fix
let me
it.
take a look at that
I
brain.
can't fix it. Oh, so let me open the hood up.
Don't. Well, he's dead.
So one 17th century brain scientist combined powdered skull and chocolate as a cure for apoplexy. King Charles II of England made his own personal concoction of powdered skull in alcohol, which he called the King's Drop.
Fuck yeah.
King's Drop.
Drip.
It's like an awesome shot you'd get at some kind of weird bar. Like a little bit of ground up like deer skull.
We get 7 King's drops.
That should
They're
fuck
like
you
lemon
up.
drops.
But skull.
Skull infused.
Skull chocolate.
Skull chocolate. Fresh blood. Fresh blood was a
Fresh blood.
huge...
Fresh blood.
Well,
Fresh blood
They
here.
would sell it at apothecaries, and rich people could afford it, but the poor couldn't afford it. So the poor people would go hang out at executions.
Stale blood.
With old blood. Get your old blood.
Get your old
Day old blood.
Stale blood.
sad,
Full
dried
pounds.
up blood here.
The poor people would hang out at executions with a fucking cup, and they would pay the executioner for a bit of fresh blood, please. Please, sir.
Please, sir, can I have some blood?
There was even a
Convenience.
recipe from an apothecary in 1679 for how to make blood into marmalade.
Ooh.
Bloody marmalade. Down. Shake it tits. Down.
That's gross. So now we're going to get to the mummy part. If eating human flesh is good medicine, then why not mummies?
Yeah.
They're made of people and they're full of bitumen. And so they ground up mummies into powder to be ingested or applied topically. King George II.
Egyptian brown.
Dude, this is my favorite part of everything, I think. King Charles II pops up again because he liked to rub mummy dust on his skin to, quote, absorb the greatness.
Yes.
That's my favorite slogan of all
Right on my
time.
nipples there.
It's like a new,
Absorb the greatness.
it's like a new Skittles fucking slogan.
Absorb the greatness.
Absorb the greatness as you shove
like-
a whole pack of
Dude,
tropical
he
fruit
doing?
Skittles up your asshole.
I'm pretty sure was an advertisement for that 5 gum. That 5 gum were those really intense orgasmic commercials.
yeah.
with
Yeah.
the-
That shit was crazy.
Absorb the greatness. Just picture this guy like laying on his bed and rumming.
Mummy dust. Oh, it's so cold.
And drinking his king's drops.
Drinking my fresh blood and putting mummy dust on my
Skull-
scrotum.
skull bits.
Absorbing. I'm so great. I'm absorbing the greatness.
I'm so great.
I'm so great.
It's like a slogan for
Just
life.
like ringing his bell. More king's drops.
Ding, ding, ding.
Oh, King's drops, please.
Daddy, how's your king's drop?
Off with her head, woman.
I'm sorry, Daddy.
Bring me her blood. But maybe absorbing the greatness wasn't such a weird notion because part of the appeal of mummy medicine was the belief that it contained a mysterious life force that could be transferred upon ingestion, in addition to the highly sought after substance of bitumen. So it was pretty popular during the 16th and 17th centuries. Mummy medicine, or mummia, was the most commonly found drug in apothecary shops.
Mamma
And-
mia.
and it was consumed well into the 18th century. Much like radium, though, it was prescribed for a wide variety of ailments.
From the makers of radium comes mummy dust. Side effects include internal bleeding, coagulated blood, coughs, inflation of the body, pains of the spleen, uterine infections, contractions of difficult later, hysterics, contractions of joints, measles, scars, epilepsy, diseases of the head, dysentery, lidinery, diarrhea, poopy butt, cheesy tots up the ass, and just general dissatisfaction with life.
Well, those are actually the things that it was said to cure. So, bleeding, coagulate.
Yeah.
It would cure falls and bruises, broken bones, headaches, tummy aches, general pain, lientry, I'm not sure how to
So
say
it's
it,
like-
but that's diarrhea of undigested food, which I don't understand how that...
I
How
get it.
does that happen?
You know what? You've never been to White Castle before? I totally get what that means.
It's corn. Corn is indigestible.
How do you? But no, diarrhea is pure liquid. So how can you have diarrhea of undigested food, which is a solid?
It's like
Go to
Science.
White Castle.
White
You'll find
Castle.
out.
It comes out like soup.
Well, White Castle farts always smell just like White Castles, which is nice. Because then you're like, I had White Castles yesterday.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
Yeah, White Castle.
stool sample. White Castle. Dr. Evan.
Oh, that's my second breakfast.
Dr. Evan, I like it when you do my diagnosis in your hoarse voice, too, which is fun.
Dr. Evan. I've got a bump on my knee.
That's enough.
There's
That's
too many
your
voices in my
time.
head. I don't know what to do.
Oh my god, I can't.
So using mummy medicine was so popular that corruption began to find its way into the mummy trade.
Yes, it does.
As it
That's
does.
it.
It will. They would. So they're obviously they would rob graves and plunder burial sites and shit like that. But they actually they'd kill people, or they would like find like recently dead bodies and then mummify them themselves.
And a week later.
So let's see. Yeah, they had dubious substitutes. They would make their own mummies from deceased criminals or slaves or just random dead people that they had found. They'd put them out in the sun to dry, treat them with bitumen. I don't know. They said they treated them with bitumen, but I'm like, I thought they couldn't find much
Yeah.
bitumen.
Yeah.
I don't know what they...
That's why they're digging up mummies.
Yep.
Exactly,
Get
to get
that
the bitumen.
sweet bitumen. Grind it up
this
and put it in a
was-
Starbucks latte.
But this shit was done with absolutely
For you,
no...
Brenda.
Brenda, get your Benjamin Coma latte, soy.
Yeah.
the silence in the room. It was
I've
just
had
so
like
good.
3 silence.
That's the proper answer because Brenda's on her fucking cell phone, not paying attention.
Yeah. Thanks for
Exactly.
the save, Eric.
So, but they would grind
Gotcha.
up
I got you.
random dead people with no concern for how these fucking people died. Well, I'm not talking about like being sentimental. I'm talking about the fucking Black Plague and syphilis and
Yeah.
smallpox.
Yeah.
I know you're looking at me sad, Jenna, but like disease was rampant.
I was happy.
back then.
That's my
like
happy
there's like
face.
whatever. There's a dead guy in the alley. I don't know how he died.
you have
Just
rub
put him
him
in
on
the
your
sun.
skin.
Yeah, just rub him on your skin. It's
Do you have
fine.
resting bitumen face?
Oh, shit. They would even substitute toasted camel meat for genuine mummy.
Dude, that sounds
Wait.
kind of good.
Is this
I'd
toasted
fuck
camel
around
meat?
with
No,
that.
it's mummy.
I'd eat some camel.
I would
I'd
try
fuck
some
around with
toasted
that. I would.
Yeah.
Camel lips.
Will you eat goat?
I love goats.
I love goat.
So, let's see, where were we? Mummy medicine began to die out in the later half of the 18th century, partly due to scientific advances and partly to the suspicion that maybe it played a part in a few plague outbreaks.
Just a small one. Just a little outbreak.
Maybe
What does
he
Dr. Evans say?
What would Dr. Evans say?
More. We need more mummies.
Yeah.
If anything, probably more mummies.
More.
Let's start killing everybody and then put some teepee at them and let them in the sun
Lay 'em
and
in
we'll
the
rub
sun.
their genitals on our faces and then we'll get rid of wrinkles.
That should do it.
Yeah, because ball bags are wrinkly.
They
Amazingly,
absorb the wrinkles.
some mummy medicine actually managed to hang in there all the way to the 20th century, popping up in a few European catalogs. I'm betting they were Eastern European catalogs. Just saying. Sorry. Well, come on, you get that in Poland.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I'm with you.
Your eyes were gleaming, just like, I guess.
Rebecca's being xenophobic over
I like
here.
it. I like when xenophobia is accurate.
Just what the doctor ordered.
Oh, God. Well, I don't know. You ever watched an Eastern European game show? They're sad and weird and bleak.
And you can only win mummies.
Bleak!
Yeah, bleak, that's a...
They're
You only
fucking
win a mummy
bleak.
or a new wife. Sometimes it's the same thing.
2 for 1.
Welcome to Who's Got My Wife? Top Ukraine primetime television.
Oh, God. All right, so Mummy.
When they new wife on this show, huh?
Ah, yeah.
You trade in wife and you get a new wife who don't complain as much and make good stew.
She's a fresh wife.
Root beets.
We recycle our wives.
The silences are really just because you're so
Dude.
fucking funny, dude. Like,
We have-
it makes all of us go, what? And then, like, the laughter spills.
Yeah, we have to pause to absorb what the fuck you say. It's good.
Yup,
Just
yup.
like
To absorb the greatness.
You're doing great.
Absorb the greatness.
Absorbing the greatness.
Oh, we
Don't absorb too much of Evan's greatness, or then you have to go see Dr. Evan.
Yeah, then you
though.
gotta say,
That's-
Dr. Evan.
Oh, doctor. Dr.
You
Evan.
know Dr. Evan, my cousin
Dr.
in
Evan.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we taught him everything I know, and we share a wife. You can say anything,
Yeah,
and it's just like, yep.
it makes it fine. It makes it
His
okay.
character is accurate.
Yeah.
Who's actually sister? Or niece? I don't know the difference.
Dr. Evan just smokes cigarettes when he's like
I smoke
talking to
4 packs a day, and I watch horses.
It's a good pastime.
It makes me sentimental inside, and then I fuck the horse. I don't know why. Do not kink shame.
And then the horse, he's all like, whoa.
Oh no, here comes Dr. Evan again.
Christ,
All right. So, mummy medicine.
Christ, you guys.
Now we've gone too far. Finally, at this point, we've...
All right. So, mummy medicine and mummy paint were definitely hard proof. We used them. That happened.
Yep.
That definitely happened.
Yep.
Now we're going to get into
Ground
some
them
of
up, ate them up.
the controversial.
'em up.
Put 'em
We're
in
going to
a
talk about.
stew.
Now we got mummy fuel.
Yes.
This is a controversial
From Monster.
one. Oh God, yes, exactly. So we got mummy fuel. Supposedly, mummies were used for train fuel.
Ooh, choo choo.
This rumor,
Choo-choo.
That's the sound of train.
choo choo, your dad's a drunk.
Drunk engineer.
Choo choo.
Well, you don't have to steer a train, so it's fucking fine. You can drink all day. You're not gonna go off the road.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
you can drink and train.
You can drink a
drink
train?
and train.
In my country, we drink and train.
It's fine.
And then we train while drinking. You know what I mean? Train means multiple men having sex with something. Choo choo, am I right?
Choo-choo, choo-choo, my friend.
Come on, ride the train. Come on, ride it. It's song. It's catchy.
So this rumor is primarily due to the fact that in 1869, Mark Twain mentioned it in his book, The Innocents Abroad.
Ah, fucking Mark Twain.
Fuck him.
He's a goof.
He's a fucking liar.
And Mark Twain is a goof. He likes to have a good goof on everybody.
He's
He's
a
fun.
fibber.
He's very witty,
He's a
okay?
fun
You don't
guy.
understand his satirical content.
Oh man, I was laughing too hard and smoking a Newport 100, and I am gonna die. I think.
I don't have the will to
We will
try.
mummy you and drink your blood.
I like how you went right into vampire.
Yeah.
How many voices have you used today?
I don't know. I'm running out.
No, keep them going. Make new ones.
Haven't even used my Fred Durst.
Yeah.
Saving that one for the encore.
Yeah.
You can try to use Fred Durst to quote Mark Twain in the Innocents Abroad.
Yes.
The fuel they use.
If you insist.
Yes.
All right, so you see it, the fuel they use for locomotives.
fuel they use is the locomotive. It's composed of mummies, purchased by the ton of the graveyard for their purpose. That sometime one is the profane engineer. Call up Pettishly. Damn those plebeians. They don't burn words of sand. Pass out a king.
I could not stop dancing.
I
literally
was too.
could
I was kind
not-
of jiving
I
from
was
back and
like-
forth.
Was I at Woodstock?
Damn those plebeians, and I'm bound with the set. Pass out a king. Pass out a king. Pass out. Stop setting shit on fire, you guys. Stop it.
Put your zippos away,
Don't
Fred.
burn my bathroom down. And Twain also.
Mark Twain was the Fred Durst of his generation.
Yes, that is accurate.
Good. That's right on the nose, doctor.
Just think about it.
I am.
Yes. Twain also speculated that the mummies probably burned well as they were coated in resins and probably burned well as they were coated in resins and bitumen. Like cordwood, bitumen. All right, so I just made
What
up
was
that word.
Twain just like fucking around and people took it
Yeah,
seriously?
Well,
that's exactly because he's a
no,
fucking lion.
no.
A lion sack of shit. Mark
I
Twain.
dug deeper.
Mark Twain is your Mick Jagger.
Kinda.
Okay, I like this.
Fucking jerk off, Mark
Wow,
Twain.
I didn't know you hated Mark Twain so much.
Fucking big ass mustache wearing bitch.
He's so smart.
Cigar smoking, pseudonym having.
Ugh.
Mark Twain's not even his real name.
Samuel
Who's he
Clemens
think
ass
he is?
trying to
Shit.
fucking
trying to name
Mississippi
my
River
elementary school after him.
traveling
You went to Mark Twain.
son of a bitch.
Middle
No, I didn't. But there was a Mark Twain elementary school that was right by mine.
So was
Bettendorf,
I
what up?
Bettendorf, shout out to Bettendorf. Where's my Bettendorf boys? Woo woo! But it wasn't just Mark Twain having a goof on everybody. The mention of mummies used as train fuel also appeared in a couple of newspapers. In an article written on February 1st, 1848, the Wachusett Star reported on the building of a railroad in Egypt and stated, quote, "Fuel is by no means abundant in that part of the world, and to obviate the difficulty, a bold schemer has proposed to use the mummies that fill those gigantic and mysterious sepulchres for fuel to drive the locomotives." The article, the article also mentioned that before being used as fuel, the mummy bandages were stripped and sent to France to make newspaper.
Oh.
Keep that in mind, you guys.
Oh. Do tell.
For the record, it is my understanding that the contract to build the railroad. Okay, so they did. They built a railroad from Alexandria to Cairo, and it was a big deal.
Yeah.
It was a big undertaking. It's my understanding that the contract to build the railroad wasn't signed until 1851, and the first locomotives didn't show up until 1852, which in my humble opinion would render the above article that was written in 1848 as pure speculation.
Fake news.
So, yeah, that's fake
news.
news.
Okay.
But in 1859, an article appeared in the Syracuse Daily Standard claiming that mummies were used to fuel the first locomotive run in Egypt and said, quote, "The supply of mummies is said to be almost inexhaustible and they are used by the court."
I'm just imagining they're like, just like, you know, like the chugga-lugga-lugga-chugga. And they're like, we need more mummies. And they're just like,
More
fucking
mummies.
tossing
More mummies on the
corpses.
fire.
Just poking with
Just
a
spoon like
coal
shovels
butter.
of
Yeah.
mummy.
shovel more
bits.
mummies in there, like the Titanic.
Oh.
So what I figured out.
Because they had such an abundance of mummies.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
the,
Well,
we
they
had
did.
so many fucking mummies. We had
Bring
piles
me
and
the
piles of them.
mummies.
we're finding all these mummies.
Well, they while building the railroad from Alexandria to Cairo, they did unearth a metric fuck ton of mummies.
A metric
A
fuck
metric,
ton.
that's a scientific measurement.
That's science.
So, another fact is that Egypt had no significant coal deposits. And so I'm not going to say that nobody threw a mummy
Yeah.
onto I'm not going to say no one did it.
I'm not gonna deny a couple mummies. You know what I mean?
So we're not going to say it didn't happen, but what I will say is that no one set up any sort of business or
It's
industry.
getting cold in here. More mummies in the fire.
What there was a giant, extensive, and lucrative coal industry that stretched from Britain to India.
Mummies.
So, plus mummies were valuable.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like something you just burn
No,
up.
you
like,
can get a lot of use from a mummy at the time. They were unwrapping them, like little jewels
Paper.
fucking fall out. They're making paper. You're not just gonna throw, you break it down like a buffalo. You know, you're not just gonna throw a mummy on the fire. So, again, my take on mummy fuel is that somebody probably threw a couple mummies on just for fun. Just be like, you guys want to see if this thing burns? Kind of that situation.
Like the-
highly flammable,
like-
very fun and good for parties and barbecue.
Like the way I threw my old couch on a bonfire in high school.
Yeah, just see if that shit's gonna burn.
Yeah, and it did.
Yeah. Oh, did it ever?
It burned the whole neighborhood down.
I back in like the early 2000s, I worked at Big Mike's on campus. Big Mike's is a sub shop like Jimmy John's.
Okay.
It turned into Emilio's, and now I think it's gone. But I worked there one night when I was working. All of a sudden, the Gophers!
Gopher,
The Gopher hockey team won.
The Gopher hockey team won the Gopher championship.
Oh, they won a thing, and all the white kids, all the U of M fucking white kids started having a We Won hockey riot. And so, and so we're in the sub shop, and it's just all windows, and we lock the door, and we put a broom, and we're like, no fucking way. But we're watching these stupid white kids try to fucking riot, and like in front of the sub shop, they shook like one of the newspaper dispensers, like
Take that.
Down with city pages.
exactly. It was just so like fucking half-assed, like. But then there were a couple couches that were set on fire.
Yes.
As I made my way home, I'm like, oh, couch on fire.
Couch on fire.
Oh, couch on fire.
Couch on fire.
Sure sign of a white
Sneak by you here.
fucking stupid white boy riot.
That's what white people do. Burn furniture.
Dude, like,
Burn
the
the-
we get drunk and burn
the
furniture.
couch.
Brad, like, just fucking lit the couch on fire, and then, like, Chad came up and was, like, jumping on the couch while it was on fire, and then Drad came over and was like, dude, we should film this shit. And then, like, Dad came over and was like, you guys gotta get out of my house.
That's like 20 voices now.
Accurate.
Today.
I'm on 20.
We're going to hit the Guinness.
the
Dr.
record.
Evan's going to hit the Guinness Book of World Records for most impressions during a podcast. All right, so now we're to mummy unwrapping parties.
This is my new YouTube channel, by the way.
Mummy unwrapping parties?
And today we got, what do we got?
It's just stuff you find around your house and wrap up.
It's like
Manual hand-
unboxing.
Baby, like, music, doon, doon, doon.
What do we have today, children?
Doon, doon,
Well,
doon,
let's see.
doon. Oh, it's a corpse again.
Oh, just another corpse.
Well, everybody likes to do those unboxing things. Or
Yeah, that's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
look what
let's unwrap it.
I got a box from the dark web.
Yup.
I feel like this has got legs. Like I think you could just wrap shit up. Like, what's it gonna be today, children?
I'll put all my Bitcoin into this idea.
Oh, it's my tennis shoes. I wrapped them up. What's it gonna be today,
Well, that's fun.
kids?
That's fun and exciting. I like
Mummy
it.
unwrapping parties. This sounds
It's
like some
football.
rich people shit.
It was
Yeah.
very
Yeah,
bullshit.
that's
So,
what rich people do for sure.
supposedly, because again, so much of this like mummy lore,
Mummy lord.
a lot of it is really, it's coded in urban legend. So it's hard to strip away the crap to get to like what
Strip away.
actually.
Hey.
Oh shit! Mummy pun.
God.
Mummy pun.
Bam.
Mummy pun.
They just happen.
Mummy
It's
pun.
easy. So supposedly, the elites of Victorian society would throw mummy unwrapping parties in the parlors of their fancy houses. But this,
Oh, do tell.
yeah, but this wasn't exactly the case. Think about it. If you owned a fancy house full of expensive stuff and had a cabinet full of curiosities, and were wearing
Okay, my zipper.
all those clothes that they wear at one time,
It's a big robe.
would you honestly unwrap a dusty, disgusting, potentially cursed, crumbling mummy just to impress your friends?
Oh, yeah.
I've done less. I've done dumber shit to impress my friends,
I've
but
licked
That's true.
urine off the pavement to impress my friends.
I swallowed a bullet.
Yeah.
once.
that happened. I drank beer off a garage floor one time.
Nice.
Bushlight.
They,
I swallowed a bullet once.
I did. I literally.
Bushlight.
I did swallow a bullet. Coors Light.
When did
Coors Light.
You swallowed a bullet?
Back in my drinking days,
Drinking
when I was
days.
because I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Raging alcoholic, and yeah, I swallowed. Someone's like, "Dare you swallow a bullet?" And I'm like, "Okay."
I already did. What? What were you
Yeah,
saying?
it was
Where'd my bullet
really
go?
big Tylenol, but it brings a whole new meaning to explosive
And
diarrhea.
then that person needed to use their gun later in
they're
an
like-
attack, and they're like, "Ah, shit!"
And I was
Rebecca
like-
swallowed all my bullets.
Oh, there you go.
Did you have to sift through your poo? Because once I swallowed a quarter, my parents had to sift through my poo.
We've been.
Well, your parents are fucking poor.
Yeah, because we've already been through this. We've
Yeah, I
already
think
talked
we
That's
were
about
because
this.
you're poor.
I just want to remind everyone. I'm
No, I
poor.
did not sift through my shit. Although I did, for a
on,
couple
just
weeks, I
poop it
did
out.
really wonder if it
Rent's
came out.
coming up.
It might still be there. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's there. Someone be like, Rebecca, you have a bullet in you. When were you shot? And I'm like,
if you
never! I'm blowing your mind!
I took X-ray of body and I found a bullet in butthole. I
He's
don't
just
know.
lodged there.
If I will put my gloves on and remove for you. But I keep a bullet. That is
that is payment
No,
for Dr.
that
Evans'
is
services.
legally my bullet.
no,
Yeah,
not in my country. We have,
It
how
came
you
out of me.
say no law.
I think the scariest thing I ever did when I was really drunk, besides
Oh,
picking
no.
up, I did. I don't even like to admit this. I actually picked up hitchhikers. Fucking when I lived in
Oh my
North
God.
Dakota,
Get in.
I picked up some toothless carny hitchhikers. I am lucky I'm alive.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the scariest thing I did when I was drunk. The scariest thing I did when I was really drunk was I lived in Bismarck, and we figured out how to get up on the roof of my apartment building. You know,
As
so
you do when you're
as you
drinking.
do.
I used
And
to
so-
hang out on my roof all the time.
You
That's
Yep.
think
awesome.
how you get up
Yep.
there?
What?
You ever think about getting up there?
Let's go.
do
So
it.
we
We
were
can
up
figure
all
it out.
night
I can do it.
doing cocaine and drinking cheap wine, literally. And the sun rose, and we're like, oh, no, it. Well, you guys know those the fire escape stairs?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so these ones were retractable.
The worst stairs to be on in the event of a fire.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, these ones were
seriously.
retractable. So they were
Oh.
actually pulled all the way up to the top, and no one had changed them shut. So my drunk high ass said, guess what I'm gonna do, guys? I'm gonna ride the fire escape down. So I climbed on the outside of it, and they fucking pushed, and down I went, hanging onto the fucking ladder, 6 stories down, just going. Oh my god!
You ride at Six Flags.
Oh my fucking god! Again, I'm really lucky to be alive.
Yeah, that's a headline,
What
like
happened?
right there,
You
like,
guys,
yeah, dumb
I
drunk.
made it to the bottom. I was like literally shaking
Did you,
because it was
like-
so like. But made it to the bottom. I'm
Scrambled eggs your
alive.
brain from that.
God watches over drunks, fools, and babies.
That's true.
I think is the phrase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God watch over drunk baby.
You have a lot of drunk
You
babies
can
in your
quote
country.
me. But I need quarter from feces. There's a draft, mummy and fire now. I get new wife tomorrow. I go on game show and get new wife.
Eastern oven. That's Eastern oven.
Was it Dr. Evans' brother? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a confusing family tree. So, got way off track, you guys. Sorry for my drunk stories.
Cousin,
okay. We
niece,
appreciate your
brother,
drunk
same
stories.
thing.
Who doesn't like a good...
Cousin, niece, brother, uncle, same.
It's all family.
We are family. We drink blood.
We all sleep in one large bed. It's
Yes. For warmth and sex.
Man, you're like living this character. Like you've
Yeah.
embodied it.
Too into it.
You're feeling it.
Turn it off. Nope.
So, but they probably had servants unwrapping. So what the fuck did these rich people care about unwrapping a mummy in their house?
Yeah.
'Cause
True.
They don't have to clean that shit
Yeah, I don't
up.
gotta clean that
they
shit
can
up.
get
Fuck
someone
it.
else to do it. That's what they have people for. But they did have mummy unwrapping parties, and they were very much attended by society's elite.
It's crazy.
But they were held in academic settings and accompanied by pompous lectures.
This is like a pompous Pokemon gathering.
Gotta catch
Oh
'em
my God.
all. Mama.
We're attending another droll mummy unwrapping tonight.
So the rock star of mummy unwrappings at the time was Thomas Mummy Pettigrew,
Ooh,
surgeon.
The worst.
This is his nickname,
that's
Mummy.
a terrible nick. It's like not even catchy.
Just Mummy. We're getting Mummy Tom.
Tommy the
Not
Mummy.
even Mummy Tom or something
Tommy
cool.
the
Or
Mummy
tummy,
Pettigrew.
tummy.
Mummy Tummy. I don't know. Yeah, Mummy Tom. I don't know.
Who needs to tickle
Tommy,
a mummy tummy?
Tummy, tummy.
So, surgeon, scholar, antiquarian, author, and showman, Pettigrew ruled the mummy unwrapping circuit, conducting enrollings all over town, quite often
Fuck
to
yeah.
sold-out crowds.
Cock of the walk, just living it.
So, unless you're going to cover this in a second, you get a mummy, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to host a mummy unwrapping party,
Yeah.
On YouTube.
Yes.
I got my mummy.
You got your
I
mummy.
obtained it through my sources.
Yep.
Mhm.
And then do we just kind of like, we like sift our fucking brandy and just
We slowly
twirl it
unwrap.
Yeah, I have to believe
slowly,
it.
and then like maybe like a goblet falls out?
I have to
Trinkets
believe there's
do
like
fall
some
out. Yeah,
showmanship
we'll get
to
into
it,
it.
though. Just like,
Sounds
ladies and
nice.
gentlemen, thank you for attending this mummy unwrapping party. Shall we begin?
Eat the cheeses and the crackers. And...
It was a spectacle.
Yeah.
It was
right, that sounds
they
chill.
sold out. They had to turn people away at the doors. Including one time they had to
What
turn
do you
away.
mean I can't get in mummy unwrapping party?
Yeah. They turned away the
That's
Archbishop
bullshit.
of Canterbury.
What?
They turned away the Archbishop of Canterbury. He
Yeah.
couldn't get in.
He's a little
Fuck
bitch.
you,
He's
Arch.
a rude.
It's fucking sold out. So here's how it go. He would unwrap the mummy, and these it would take a lot. It takes a long time to unwrap these mummies. They have like feet and feet and feet of wrappings on them.
Yeah, and they're covered in resin
It's not like
and
if
stuff,
I
right?
mummied someone where I just
Yeah,
give up
it's just
after
loosely
that.
wrapped. Yeah,
So
it's
just
only
bury
one time
it.
around.
10%.
Put it in the backyard, fuck it.
A lot of times the bandages are fused to the mummy.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
they have
shit.
to like wrench
Ooh,
these things
that's like
off.
ripping a Band-Aid off of your hair. Anyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, quick like a
That's
bunny.
been stuck on for thousands of years.
Yeah.
You ever do that for fun?
So they would unwrap the mummy. They'd give a little lecture, and if everyone was lucky, maybe an autopsy.
shit.
But as they unwrapped, little ornaments and prizes would fall out like a Cracker Jack
So
box.
fun. I like this.
Like a piñata.
Exactly. And then once the body was unwrapped, observations and guesses were made about the skin and the hair and the decorations. Like they would try to guess the ethnicity. I got it, Egyptian.
You win every time.
But yeah, they'd sit and like speculate about the body.
Oh my god, this is such a rich person thing.
It really was.
So
And
cute.
Generally, things went pretty smoothly. Sometimes it took, like I said, a lot of force to separate the bandages because they were fused to the body. One time, a mummy's head was full of sand, which I would think would have happened more often,
Yeah.
but it didn't.
Oh.
There's a fun story about a guy named George Glidden, and he was doing mummy unwrappings in Boston, and he was heavily promoting his upcoming mummy unwrapping.
Pay-per-view event.
Yeah, exactly. Event of the year.
Sponsored by Mummy Fuel.
So he was describing his mummy as who wants to read the quote of the body? Of the
Boston voice.
or Thomas Pettigrew voice, Boston voice.
He's from Boston.
I don't have a packet.
Oh yeah, you do it.
No,
Evan.
I don't want to do it.
Nice.
The body of the daughter, of a high priest of Thebes.
What am I doing?
Let's see. He was heavily promoting his upcoming mummy unwrapping, describing the mummy as quote.
The body of the data of a high priest at Thebes who lived more than 3,000 years ago, or I don't know, about the time of Moses.
Perfect. He set up a 3-day sold-out event. $5 bought a person 4 tickets to all 3 unwrapping parties.
Damn.
Ooh, that's a good price.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's like a Woodstock situation. Like
Yeah.
3 days of mummy unwrapping.
Mummy mania.
A mummy suspense.
Gonna unwrap this mummy.
Oh,
12 minutes later.
no.
I'm in hell.
Yeah, I know. As he slowly unveiled.
Eat a dick, Allman Brothers.
Yes.
Yeah, go die.
Eat a peach.
No, there you go. One of them is. Ooh, too soon. As he slowly
Suspense.
unveiled the mummy and the
Yes.
suspense built, it began to be revealed that the supposed priestess was actually a guy.
Oh.
And it took,
I'm just Guy.
it was like the William Buckland being like, he's a whore.
Yeah.
It's like,
He's
no,
a whore bones.
this is wrong. But it
Was the
took
guy dead?
the mummy or the. Yes.
Well, that must have
Oh, God, I could barely breathe in there. Why are all these people here?
Hey, Dude, my
Sir,
watch
you're
fell.
not on the list. Get the hell out
My
of here.
watch fell out of my wrappings. Can you give it back to me?
Put this watch on my ass centuries ago.
Anyone want
No,
some,
that must have been pretty
Oh,
awkward though when they're like, "Let's unveil this high priestess," and
it's
these are
Well, how could you tell
these
that?
are
Fashion
male
guys?
genitals. Oh,
Oh, okay.
Yep. Well, he couldn't. He had a heart. It took him forever to live it down. He had to move.
Hey, you're that
Newspapers.
stupid mummy guy.
it's the mummy guy
Hey,
who fucking doesn't even know how mummies fucking
You
work.
stupid fuck.
You
The
dumb fuck.
newspapers had a blast
Go
making
move to
jokes.
Philadelphia, you piece of shit.
Get the fuck out of here,
That's
mummy
what he
man.
did. They would make jokes and write poems about him. So yeah, he moved to
course they did.
Philadelphia.
poems? What an
poems.
insult! Like,
Rich people shit.
Chump.
Again, yeah.
Show him.
Fuck
Fuck with me.
But he did a few more unwrappings and it was fine.
Yeah, he's still
So,
on a good,
so, yeah,
still on a good run.
he had a wrap around his reputation.
Oh God.
Why isn't anyone laughing after that one,
Oh,
guy?
the silence means that they really like it.
Yeah.
That's what I
That's what
learned.
we
Yeah.
tell Evan.
Yep. We're digesting.
No, that means it's good.
It's like when you eat something you really like and you just sit
Yeah,
there
you
and
savor
Spit
it.
it out.
No,
Yeah, it's
no,
like
you
that.
savor
in
it.
a napkin. Yeah.
People were actually way more into the trinkets that fell out of the mummies than the actual corpse.
Yeah, that sounds like the fun part.
Yeah.
They were
definitely.
disappointed
Any
if there were
trinkets
no. Yeah, there were. What? There's no trinkets.
Daddy,
They'd
did
be
you
sad.
bring me any mummy trinkets from your unwrapping
No
party?
mummy trinkets until you finish fluffing your sister.
Oh, Daddy.
Eat more porridge before you can play with your trinkets.
Oh, Papa.
So even though these
Trinkets and
things were really just a spectacle, some knowledge was gained. We learned some
Yeah.
things, I guess, from
Your high
it.
priestess has a dick.
Is that thing supposed to get a dick? Get the fuck out of my town, mummy guy.
Fuck out of
Why don't you go to Philadelphia?
You fucking asshole. You fucking
Bring
mummy
these
putz
fake mummies
fuck.
into my town. Go Sox.
So we are here to the great big controversial topic, the hot button topic.
Yes.
You guys, of mummy paper. Did we do it? Did we not do it? Let's find out.
God, oh, Jesus God.
All right, so mummy paper. It is a controversial topic. Woo! There is a lot of debate about it.
Kind of spicy.
It is a little spicy. They're like, did it happen? Did it not happen? What I tried to do personally was, like I said earlier in the episode, just the facts, ma'am. I tried to, glean what I could that seemed legit.
Okay.
So there's a
Good
lot
job.
of newspaper articles in here. It might get a little dry, but let's
Dry like a
go-
mummy's
Oh,
Dry
see?
like
dick.
mummy vagina.
All right, here we go, guys. Mummy paper.
Yes.
The ancient Egyptians made papyrus out of compressed reed stalks. The Chinese figured out how to make paper from mulberry trees around 105 AD. But the Europeans were making it out of cotton pulp and linen rags. It sounds complicated. Sounds a little wasteful to me, but that's
Yeah.
what we were doing. And of course, these techniques.
What we still do.
Well, we actually do, because paper like money, like really nice, fine, like
Fancy
parchment-y,
money.
really fancy paper is actually made from linen. So we do still do it. It hasn't been thrown away completely. But of course, these techniques traveled to America because America was heavily settled by Europeans. Basically, the process involved leaving rags to rot in a giant wet pile.
Cool.
And then reducing the rot to a pasty slime and then passing it through a screen and pressing it into paper.
Yeah, it's like that
That's what we would do.
big pile of laundry in my room.
There is no big pile of laundry in our room, for the record.
Oh,
Maybe your room.
Just kidding.
I do my laundry.
I don't. I wear the same clothes every day.
Yeah.
Just like Evan.
Well, it's easier. You don't have to think about it. It's like I can go for a uniform every day. So by the 1850s, Americans were using so much paper that they needed to import about 405 million pounds of linen rags from Europe.
Jeez.
Mostly from Italy. But then Italy started exporting rags to England too, and America's like, what's the big idea, Italy? We need all those rags.
Yeah, Italy.
Yeah.
So at first I was like, why don't we have our own rags? Like, what
Yeah.
the shit? But we just were using paper more quickly than we could wear out our clothes, basically.
Fair enough.
So, and yeah, paper was the big thing that everybody's writing pamphlets and newspapers and magazines and sharing their ideas. And
That's when
farmers'
paper was a new thing, right? It was
almanacs.
like, this is fantastic.
Well, the printing press was pretty
Yeah.
popular. I mean, yeah, everybody was definitely. We're using paper. We're consuming it like crazy. We're just wolfing it down.
Just love
And
that stuff.
Enter Dr. Isaiah Deck. Geologist, archaeologist, explorer, he, as well as many others, had looked into different ideas for paper. Aloe, plantain, banana, daggergrass, wasps' nests, which I think was actually a pretty good
cool.
idea.
Paper wasp nest, yeah.
Paper wasps. It was...
Hemp? Question mark?
Probably. Yep, they probably tried a bunch of stuff. It was on an expedition to Egypt that Dr. Deck... Dr. Deck... That wouldn't make me... That's not
I
even
won't
funny.
say anything, but
I
he
was-
is nemesis of mine.
I was waiting for you to say something. Dr. Deck...
Explorer my taint. That guy couldn't find a hemorrhoid if he had his face up against mole rat ass.
So you don't like Dr. Deck?
No,
Well,
he's a liar.
Dr. Deck noticed all the communal mummy pits with all those mummies' bandages just waiting to be made into paper.
Oh, God, you're just sitting there, just waiting.
And Dr. Deck did the math. This is a lot of math, you guys. Are you ready?
Yes.
Let's do
Here we
math.
go. 2,000 years of embalming, an average lifespan of 33 years with a stable population of 8 million equals 500 million mummies, plus all the mummified cats, bulls, and crocodiles, with the average paper consumption in America coming in at around 15 pounds per person per year, meant mummies could supply America with paper for about 14 years.
Cha-ching!
14, baby.
To quote Dr. Deck,
Did they mummify everybody? Did everybody get mummified?
Crocodile mummies?
I think the Egyptians revered certain animals. I know they revered cats, for sure. So I think, yeah, I guess some. Who had a pet crocodile though? That, or who
Dr.
like
Evan.
formed a relationship with a crocodile?
This is
that they were
Boris, my pet crocodile.
of course you did.
Don't look at him.
He's also your receptionist.
Yes. He take call. That's why I have no appointments. Don't make sense. So what did I do? Fire him? No.
I just like,
He's cheap. Cheap labor.
this is so too real. This character has become so real. I'm like losing my.
I know you've really
I-
become.
I'm losing my sense of identity because I just see Dr. Evan.
Listen.
Where's that? Where's the real Evan?
There is no Evan. Just doctor.
Just doctor.
Your first name is just Doctor.
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 I'm not a doctor. It's just what my parents named me. My mom named nurse.
It's just
My dad named lawyer.
Doctor.
Doctor. To quote Dr. Deck, it is by no means rare to find above 30 pounds weight of linen wrappings on mummies. A princess from the late Mr. Pettigrew's collection was swathed in 40 thickness, producing 42 yards of the finest texture.
42 yards per mummy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's fucking paper. We make the money. Mummies make millions.
Exactly. Well, and then they're building the railroad too, and they're digging up all these mummies. There's mummies everywhere. Everybody's loving mummies. They're unwrapping mummies. They're making paint out of mummies. They're making medicine out of mummies. We're going to do with all these bandages. They're piling up.
Fucking mummies too. I mean, where does it end?
I said, what kind of farm are we on? So the trouble, though, with Dr. Deck's lengthy and heavily reprinted discourse on mummy paper is that it is regarded by many as satire, very much in the vein of A Modest Proposal by Jonathan Swift. So while it is
Who's
painfully...
actually Mark Twain?
no.
Fucking Mark Twain.
While it is painfully obvious that Swift was not being serious about eating children in his Modest Proposal pamphlet, you guys
That
have
was sarcasm.
yeah, that is called sarcasm. You guys have read that. Have you read that?
No.
So Jonathan
not.
Swift, he wrote this pamphlet called A Modest Proposal, basically suggesting that that the rich should eat their children.
Smart.
That because they're running low on food, they're like, why don't you just eat your kids? It'll be great. Well, that way we have, we
9
cut
months
down
later, you
on
got more food.
population.
Yeah, just makes
And,
sense.
yeah, so that was Jonathan Swift's. So they compare Deck's writing to Swift's Modest Proposal. But perspective, my friends, you can read sarcasm into anything if you want to. Am I right?
Yeah.
Deck was an archaeologist and an explorer, and he did have a sincere appreciation for artifacts and may have found the rapacious pilfering of Egypt to be repugnant on an intellectual level. But hands down, his writing is the most widely known and referenced account of mummy paper on record. It was called. Oh, the cat.
Sorry, the cat's just-
The cat's
Why
knocking
do you
everything
let, why
over.
you let dinner run around so freely?
His famous essay called On a Supply of Paper Material from the Mummy Pits of Egypt was published in the Transactions of the American Institute of the City of New York for the year of 1854. And as far as I could determine, that didn't look like a joke publication.
No, that
That's
seems
not
pretty like
satire. Or, like, it wouldn't offer it's the Transactions of the American Institute of the City of New York. I'm sorry.
it's just facts and
it seems
budget
pretty cut and
planning.
dried to me. But the part that's considered satirical, oh my gosh, Kitty just sat on right next to me. This is adorable.
Dinner is cute.
Dinner is
Shame we eat.
adorable.
Cute but delicious.
So the part that puts it for some people into the realm of satire is, quote, those who would at the first blush carp at and condemn it as fabulous in its application may, on investigation, be constrained to admit that in this utilitarian age affected prejudice must give way to the necessities which the mass of society demands, and repulsive as it may appear to the oversensitive, it is entirely shorn of this feeling when viewed with the anticipated famine of paper material looming up in the distance. Did you guys get all that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got it.
Disassociated
Did
during
you get that little kitty?
Oh my god.
Did you get that cute little
so
kitty?
good.
Oh, good, yeah, baby.
Hey,
Don't eat the cat.
hey,
Please don't cook my cat.
come here, kitty.
So, we're going to get into the evidence. All right, you guys?
Oh, she didn't like that.
So, Idea Deck's article might be the most famous regarding mummy paper, but it was not the first.
Ooh.
Okay.
Here we go. We mentioned the December 10th, 1825 issue of the Independent Chronicle and Boston Patriot earlier when we were talking about Pasha Muhammad Ali, where he inquired about mummy wrappings making good paper. So there's number one. In 1825, and yeah, guys, if you guys want to read these quotes too, please do make them funny, because this is a little dry, because like I said, I just try to get to the facts. In 1825, the London Times published a letter written by engineer Thomas Galloway, who was the first person to propose building a railroad from Alexandria to Cairo, but was turned down, which said in part, quote,
Wish to know if cotton as well as linen rags can be used for writing paper. Secondly, if it is possible to make paper from straw and wood sort. Thirdly, as a great quantity of linen rag is found upon all mummies, and it contains a great portion of acid used for the preservation of bodies, if it can be applied to the purpose of paper making and drug taking.
oh, yes. So there, another
Very
article.
elegant.
It was beautiful. There were
Cute.
also several published
and
articles.
it's like around this time that like we're still like it's legit. Like mummies are being used in various practices, right? So it's like
Yes.
it's definitely
They're-
not far fetched. That
No, not at all. And the rag import business was pretty huge.
It was booming.
Like I say, we're gathering the facts here because we're gonna decide amongst ourselves whether or not we think this is legit or not.
and if it's ethical.
Well,
Oh, drop a hard E.
I
over
think
here.
I don't know. Yeah, if you're already fucking using them for other shit, then
Right.
why would it not be unethical to continue to use a resource instead
Grave
of wasting
robbing
it?
in my country. Very lucrative industry.
So there were also several published articles speaking on the mummy paper trade, practicality, cost versus yield, the interference of oils and chemicals in the linens with the paper making, and the color it created, found in 1847 issues of The Friend, Scientific American, and Cold Water Fountain. The Scientific American article went as follows. Oh, you got this one, Nevin?
Which voice?
Yeah, you so
Just
many
shuffling
voices.
through a filing cabinet of
voice.
Richard Gere, no. Jack Nicholson, no.
Dennis Hopper. Matthew McConaughey. Ooh, you do like your
You can always pull out a
McConaughey.
Well. New speculation. Muhammad Ali has found new source of revenue on the fine linen in which the immense deposits of the mummies are wrapped by applying it to the manufacture of paper. Yeah, calculations founded upon mummy statistics make the linen swathings of the ancient Egyptians worth, I don't know, roughly around 21 million, I'd say. Well, This is better than stealing pennies from the eyes of dead men.
I'm crying.
Oh, yay! Anything you read
I
is
love
Matthew
Matthew
McConaughey's
McConaughey.
better.
It's so good.
I mean, if you want to make paper out of mummies, man, I say, man, you do you. You know what I'm saying?
Skylaw.
Skylar.
Skylaw number 2.
It's Skylaw number 3, make paper out of mummies. I mean, it makes sense to me. You got some wild turkey over there? Turkey, gobble, gobble.
It's like your eyes. You're possessed by
Yeah.
it.
Whoa, what just happened?
Okay. All right, we're going to have another. I don't know who wants to do this one.
Think of-
2 years later. 2 years later, Scientific American. Yeah, Jenna, you do Matthew McConaughey. 2 years later, Scientific American published another article. Mummy class. You got it? You ready?
Yeah.
All right.
This is the quote.
Yeah, the mummy class. Cairo
Okay.
newspapers.
Mummy Claw. Fuck, I can't do it.
Wait, let me try.
Okay, you do it.
All right. Mummy claws, Cairo newspapers entered into a long calculation of the number of mummies which must have been embalmed and in Stop it! You're hurting my.
Hey, keep on going, baby.
Yeah,
Sounds
man,
great.
this is Skylaw. Enter into a long calculation of the number of mummies which must have been embalmed and deposited in crypts, pits, sepulchral chambers, etc. during the existence of the ancient Egypts as a great and populous country, and proposes that Mohammed Pasha should allow their clothing to become an article of extended commerce in the linen trade valued at least at 10 millions and a half of dollars. The digging up of this treasure is further calculated would bring to light jewels and other materials of archaeological press. That's not a good Matthew.
That was good. Well, hold on.
But it was
Anybody? Okay, now anybody who just listened to that, go back and then listen to it as Bobby Hill sings.
Oh, yeah, that's Bobby Hill.
Because you're like a
That's
spot
what I
on.
meant to do.
You're like a spot on Bobby Hill.
Yeah, that was totally my Bobby Hill. Exactly. So there was an amusing article published in the March 19, 1853 issue of the American magazine Bazaar.
Ooh.
When this is a fun one. This one is a silly one. You want to read Mummy Steaks, Evan?
Mummy steaks! The last luxury introduced into London are nothing more nor less than a regular beef steak cooked upon a fire made of Egyptian mummies. The mummies are broken up like hickory or maple wood, and the steak is laid upon the coals, which proceed from their ignition. The flavor of cooking generally is greatly enriched by this particular fuel. But a beef steak is sure to gather an antiquated but bituminous taste thereum, which gourmands describe as especially delicious.
There is.
That's just gross.
But there's no evidence of anyone eating mummy steaks. I think this one is definitely safe to chalk up as satire.
It's like anything, you can just like fucking read anything from back then, and it's just like, you just assume it's like fucking not satire.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Pretty
Like,
much.
True.
You just never know.
As I said earlier, you can read sarcasm into
people
anything.
did dumb shit.
Like what? You want me to read? I'll read, let's see, let's move forward a little bit. I'm going to skip because I'm going to read this sarcastically. At the okay, I'm gonna read this one really quick and then I'll skip to the one and then read it sarcastically. So Joel Munsell, author of Chronology of the Origin and Progress of Paper and Paper Making.
And all these essay titles are
I know.
so like,
Yeah.
They're as dry as paper.
so it's either the most like,
Dry as a mummy fart.
if it is satire, it's just so brilliant.
Yeah.
Because it's just like the most generic, basic, like,
Yeah.
you know, education fucking scholarly essay.
So this guy, he spent years saving articles on the topic. He found one from Paper Trade Reporter in 1855 recording a cargo of 1,215 bales of Egyptian rags going for 4 cents a pound and being purchased by J. Priestley and Company. How about that? He has another from the New York Tribune mentioning that 2.25 million pounds of rags had been imported from Egypt, and another from the Druggist Circular and Chemical Gazette in 1873 describing a New York businessman's purchase of, quote, mummies from the catacombs to be converted to pulp for paper making.
There
There you go.
The
right. Oh.
Chemical Gazette.
The
The,
dots are...
the Chemical Gazette.
That's
yes.
definitely a band. Noise rock band.
So here we go. More.
No.
Jenna, sing that dick song again. Sing the dick
My
song.
dick
Thank you. Okay.
is like an antique vinyl.
Yes.
Your dick is made of mummy primal.
Yeah, that makes the Allman Brothers go away.
Hot like a rhino.
That cancels. No, the dick song cancels out Allman Brothers. Stop it.
Okay.
Okay, so at the Onondaga, Ding Dong
Yeah, that guy.
Historical Association is a copy
Yeah, that place.
Of the July 31, 1856 Syracuse Daily Standard newspaper that informed its readers that it was printed on paper made from rags imported from Egypt by Mr. G.W. Ryan and processed at his Marcellus Falls plant. Okay, I'm going to read this sarcastically. Rags from Egypt. Our daily is now printed on paper made from rags imported directly from the land of pharaohs on the bank of the Nile. They were imported by Mr. G.W. Ryan, the veteran paper manufacturer at Marcellus Falls in this country, and he thinks them quite as good as the general run of English and French rags.
If
Yeah.
you read it sarcastic, it's the most sarcastic fucking thing.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Show had that great thing with David Cross. Like he was writing letters to cereal companies being like, I think your cereal is so great. And then they sent him a bunch of cereal because he's like, why doesn't anybody understand sarcasm?
I love that skit, yeah.
Okay, more articles. There's an article in the August 12th, 1858 edition of the Northern Home Journal regarding the amount of sand in the linens affecting the weight and therefore the price.
Oh,
Over at the
shit.
paper mill in Gardiner, Maine. Who wants to read this guy?
Guild, like, shitty
Evan?
Evan. File through.
One voice, what voice now? Doctor voice.
It has been estimated that some of the Egyptian rags contain about 40% dust and dirt. The dust, doubtless, my emphasis, consists of many fine particles of Pharaoh's embalmed subjects, but not a few of the modern rags seem to have spread upon the sands of the periodical overflow of the Nile and received a deposit of the fine earth that has been washed down from the mountains of Esbania. This adds to the weight, but Yankees will not be sold twice in this manner. The
article also went on to say,
Don't interrupt me, bitch. The Egyptian rags had been collected from the corners of the Pasha's dominions, from the living and the dead. How many cast-off garments and hajibs and houdables, how many tons of big, loose Turkish rag breeches, and how many headpieces in the shape of old duffin turbans, the Dippinut saith not.
Shut up, nerd. I'm going to shove you down.
You got a temper, nerd.
Yeah. Yeah, look, you seem a little explosive there.
a little
A big
tense.
chance to shine, and I just want to,
In 1859, a hymn was written to celebrate the bicentennial anniversary for the town of Norwich, Connecticut. Publishers of the local newspaper printed this hymn on a large piece of brown paper. With this statement printed at the bottom. This paper is made from the Chelsea Manufacturing Company, Greenville, Connecticut, the largest paper manufacturer in the world. The material of which it is made was brought from Egypt. It was taken from the ancient tombs where it has been used in embalming mummies. A part of the process of manufacturing is exhibited in the procession. The daily production of the company's mills is about 14,000 pounds. They put all that on the bottom of the
I was going to say, that's
hymn. That's a lot.
That's a big fucking disclaimer on the bottom.
But it is a very big disclaimer that it was taken from the ancient tombs where it's been used for embalming mummies. It's right there. It's a smoking fucking gun, guys. It's a smoking gun read in a silly voice.
That Bible you're reading, fucking money paper, bro. Mummy paper.
Maybe.
I don't know English.
An example of the broadside survives in the rare book collection at Brown University and was found by Susan Wolfe, who is a huge mummy expert.
She's a mummy.
She's also the author of Mummies in
Mummy
19th
fucker.
Century America, Ancient Egyptians as Artifacts, and senior cataloger and serial specialist for the American Antiquarian Society in Worcester, Massachusetts.
Worcester, Massachusetts.
So she is an expert, but I discovered that even she is not above perpetuating myth.
Ah.
Because I read an article with Susan Wolf being like, yes, they use mummies as fuel. They definitely used mummies as fuel. And I'm like, I don't know that you could say that with such conviction, Little Miss expert. So that's what I'm saying, like, about the controversialness of it. The people who want this to be true really want it to be true.
Yeah.
And the people who are like, no mummy paper. No, this is not real.
That's their like holy grail of research. Like, it's got to be true. It's got to be there.
But they do have the smoking gun. So I don't know.
Can't they just do some science on it or something? Just
Well,
test it, like.
We'll get to that in one paragraph.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk
Maybe
about
I'll
why
just-
testing doesn't work.
Maybe
Maybe
if you
I'll
had
just
a
shut-
packet over there, buddy.
Maybe I'll just
Yeah.
shut the fuck up and listen contently.
Yeah, maybe if you had a packet, you could do fun voices with us.
Shut up.
Fuck you.
You're better than me.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
And then there's Augustus Stanwood, and he owned a paper mill. Augustus, sweetheart, save some room for later. He owned a paper mill in Gardner, Maine, and had experimented with different paper making materials like ground wood and mummy linen. And his son Daniel relates the tale of how his father imported several shipments of mummies from Egypt and used their linens to make brown paper wrapping for grocers and butchers. That was until the cholera outbreak.
Oh.
Now,
That's why you don't use mummy paper.
Well,
okay.
it is highly unlikely that the cholera was spread by the mummy bandages because cholera bacteria it couldn't survive
Okay.
throughout the centuries. The cholera outbreak was probably due to the freshly dirty rags from Europe and the rampant poor hygiene that existed.
Yeah, maybe because the butcher just doesn't know how to wipe
Maybe he
his ass
doesn't wash
properly.
his hands. Yeah, exactly. But there was an inquiry that was held in the 1880s regarding this outbreak, wherein prominent owners of Maine paper mills were called to testify. So here we get to the controversy, guys.
Woo!
So testing doesn't work. Chemical tests can't prove that they came from mummies, only that they are made of linen. Carbon dating requires burning the materials, so that's out.
Okay.
DNA testing only proves that the item had at one time been near a human,
All right.
so that's inconclusive.
Unless you wear gloves when you read paper. I do.
Plus, it's hard to say what percentage of a mummy rag went into the paper that may also have included rags from other times and places.
So it's like
Fair
saying
enough.
like laced with mummies, and it could like.
I feel like science can figure this out. Fair
Well,
enough.
we're gonna get there. There aren't any.
God damn it, I gotta know.
There aren't any official records from paper mills themselves of having bought mummies, and that's where it's some of the they're like, well, nobody bought any mummies, but that's because they probably didn't buy the whole mummy. They
Right, they just bought
probably
the
bought
rags,
bandages
just the
they're not
wrappings.
gonna fucking ship that much weight over. They're gonna buy the bandages. They're not gonna buy a whole mummy and then unwrap it. And also, paper mills weren't really good at keeping records in the first place, and they were short on paper, so any records that they kept got recycled into making more paper.
Use the paper to make
More paper.
To make more paper.
It's
To make more
paper.
paper.
Can you believe it's
Exactly.
paper?
And shipping and customs records aren't helpful either because rags didn't need to be declared. And if they were declared, they wouldn't have been declared as mummy rags. They would have just been declared as like linens or something. So whether or not Isaiah Deck was being satirical, mummy paper was a pop culture reference at the time.
Like,
People
even
were
if they're
talking
not
about it.
using it as paper, they're still just like joking a lot
It's
about it.
still
which
something they're
means it's
talking
like a
about.
wink, wink.
Well, they're discussing it, and they have valid articles about it, and they have the jokey articles about it. So no, any way you slice it, it was part of the public's consciousness. The controversy rages on. The people who want it to be true will find all the angles to support their opinion, even with reputable experts going so far as to perpetuate myths, as I said earlier.
9/11.
The people who deny it will do the same. But let's keep in mind, kids, that there's a difference between evidence and proof. And while we have far more evidence than actual proof, if this was a murder case, I think the suspect would still be convicted. Personally.
Guilty.
Guilty as
That's
charged.
my
Paper, guilty.
Yeah, so what's your guys' take on this?
I think that jet fuel melts steam.
No, that's not what we're talking about.
Off
Keep on topic. Keep on
Off
topic.
Um,
I'm not saying somebody didn't fuck a mummy out there.
Yeah.
I'm not ruling that out.
I agree thoroughly because, yes.
So first off, do we find the use of mummy paper unethical?
unethical.
Yes.
Well, you have to get
Yeah,
to
because-
the part of like desecrating human remains.
And it's like a ritual
You already
to-
desecrated them.
They've already been dug up to build the
already-
railroad.
yeah,
so-
they've already-
What if we can save the trees?
We can grow
use
more
mummy
trees.
papers instead
Yeah, you
of
can just
trees.
plant
You can just grow
trees.
another
Kill more
tree.
people.
And
yeah,
mum-
just
yeah,
kill,
fair
you
enough,
can
fair
kill,
enough.
You can just kill
You
more
get
people.
my logic.
I feel like there's some like kind of Flintstones-esque like some guy like who's like in the mummy mines like unwrapping all these bandaged mummies to get like and just be like, boy, my job sure sucks. Mondays, am I right?
Exactly.
Well, they
Like that's
had-
what's fucking crazy about this
Worst.
whole thing is like knowing that these mummies came from just a guy fucking.
Digging them
Yeah,
up.
just some guy like
Yeah.
that's his job. Like, ugh.
Well, think about all
Talking
this
to
stuff.
his wife, like, fucking
And what was
there
the
was
what
like
was
so
the
many
number
mummies.
that came up with? Like we're talking 8 to 10 million mummies. Or
Well, it was
even
like
more.
millions.
I believe
Millions.
metric
I gotta go-
fuck ton was
Metric
the
fuck ton was
And each
the
fucking
scientific
mummy
number.
has 40 yards of fucking linens.
Yeah.
Like
Let's see,
a lot.
and
where's
each
all that
person
math?
in their life uses 15.
15 pounds of paper
makes
per
total
year,
sense.
too. But see, as far as
I'm
I'm
for
concerned, mummy, it had to have happened because even if somebody didn't make paper that was just out of mummy linen, they were still importing rags from Egypt. And in
Yeah.
Alexandria, they had a mummy unwrapping business. So people would like actually unwrap these mummies, send these. So I would have to believe that mummy bandages probably got mixed in with other rags from Egypt and made
Yeah.
it here. I'm going to say that yes, it
just didn't
probably
seem
fucking
like
happened.
Well, and
in
you're also-
society
you
at
also-
the time, it just didn't seem like mummies were even like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, who gives a shit? We got so many fucking mummies here. And you're also talking about the guy who was like basically sell his mom to make a profit. Like, who,
The Pasha of Egypt at
Yeah.
the time? Well, yeah, he didn't give a shit about destroying ancient artifacts
Yeah, so
just to build the country back up.
I feel like this is just to make some. I feel like this is fairly plausible.
I think it's more than plausible. And then you think I like thinking about the tourist biz, like just placing the money. So we get back to the ethical question of is it ethical in this day and age? No,
Yeah.
it's not ethical.
Okay,
At the time,
sure.
I guess they thought it was fine.
You don't seem like you're convinced.
I don't. What is this word ethics?
I have a little side note before we wrap it up. There is
Oh my
definite.
God.
There is definite record of mummified cats being sold and used as fertilizer for English rose gardens.
Darling,
And-
I fertilized the English rose garden.
I'll fertilize your rose garden, baby. Come on over.
Take a big old shit on it.
And
Kitty's gonna help my rose garden one day.
my favorite.
don't pet the cat and say
And
that.
say exactly. One of my favorite things that they also used mummies for was false relics. So churches have to
Oh.
have. You ain't gonna have people come to your church if you ain't got something cool like the
Oh.
thigh bone of a saint or
Yeah,
the
yeah.
ear bone of a martyr. So they would like buy mummy parts and they'd put them in their church and be like, yeah, this is Saint fucking Ignatius or what the fuck ever.
This is Paul. This is Peter. Mary somewhere.
Check this out.
Kneecap.
Joan of Arc. In 1867, a jar labeled remains found under the stake of
Have you
Joan
seen
of
my
Arc
jar? I just had jar here and now it's gone.
is labeled remains found under the stake of Joan of Arc, Virgin of Orleans. Have you seen my jar? It was found in the
Virgin
attic.
jar.
It was found in the attic of a pharmacy in Paris. It contained a charred human rib and blackened wood, a bit of linen, and some unidentified bone. Testing was done in 2007, which determined that the contents of the relic were carbon dated back to at least the 6th century BC, contained the presence of Egyptian embalming materials, and the mystery bone was the thigh bone of a mummified cat.
Kitty.
And this is really great. According to the...
So
to
it's
the-
not Joan of Arc, is what you're saying.
It's not Joan of Arc.
It's not virgin?
It is not. According...
That cat was a whore. Cat whore bones.
Yeah, cat hormones. Hormones.
Hormones.
According to the article in The Guardian, 2 of the experts that were brought in were, quote, noses from the perfume industry, and they helped
Oh,
out
that's not a virgin.
by smelling decomposing flesh instead of someone who was burned at the stake. So, like, no, this Not burned at the stake.
Oh my
We
god.
wrap this
No.
up. I got the Pepsi challenge.
Who's a fucking expert nose? Like,
Bring
whose
in the
job is that?
nose.
Bring in the nose. 2 of them.
2.
Bring in the noses.
Let's
They're
bring-
getting nosy
bring in
on
the
that, let me
noses.
tell you.
So,
These like
That also must be terrible.
6-foot noses. It's like,
it smells like. I detect a slight hint of bitumen. What's it?
I just feel like it's 2 guys that are to come in every time they come in, or just be like, "Ugh, it smells terrible in here."
It's gotta be a terrible gift.
Well, I hope the news experts talk like this. And they're like, ooh.
I smell an asshole in here.
I do detect a slight whiff of asshole in the air.
it smells boring.
Fuck yes. So that's it. That's Mummy Paper, guys. Did
Wow.
we solve it?
Yeah.
Did we fix it?
I think we solved it, and I think we all learned a lesson that corpses are friends.
Not food?
Not
Not
paint. Don't eat
Not
'em.
paint. Not food.
Not parties.
Just
Not-
leave them be.
Yeah.
Just let 'em be dead.
Let them be
Just let
dead.
them rot.
Leave 'em alone.
Yeah.
Well, it was funny that the Europeans would like eat, that they engaged in corpse medicine because Christianity was predominant in Europe at the time, and they had pretty rigid beliefs about not defiling
fuck
graves.
with
Yeah.
Because you fuck with the grave, with the Christian burial, and then you don't get to rise when Jesus comes back. So they took that shit really seriously.
Yep.
The fact that they could so hypocritically casually eat the dead, well, like fuck these guys.
Yeah, but it
'cause they're
wasn't
not-
their religion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
but they're
wasn't
not
their
Christian,
thing.
so
Yeah,
we can
yeah.
eat
Fuck
you.
that, we can eat
It's
those mummies.
fine. They're-
Fuck 'em.
When Jesus comes,
These
they're
are
just
for eating, and these ones are for companionship. It gets cold in winter.
Yes. Yeah.
My mummy wife.
That's why I have cemetery.
And that's it.
Dr. Evan.
I love just doctor.
Just doctor.
Doctor Evan.
Oh, no.
Oh, it is Evan.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I thought you didn't have a name. I thought it was just doctor.
No, I have a name until police come. Then I don't know name.
I do need to see a doctor. I don't have insurance though. Is that a problem?
I'll tell you what. You take bullet from ass,
And-
and I take silver, and I burn, and I make silver stew, and I eat and feed family.
okay, so that means I can see you without insurance.
Yes.
Okay.
I
All
don't accept insurance.
I don't know that the bullet is still inside me though.
I like when someone uninsured, because I assure them they'll be fine under my care. Yeah, see? I also comedian. That'll be 4 bullets.
4 bullets, please.
Well, I
Please
got
dispose of them. over
Make
there.
appointment with Boris.
Make appointment. Boris have clipboard. It's funny. You stupid fucking crocodile. I love you. Come here. Mwah, 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 mwah. You're fucking useless, but I love you. You're so scaly.
well, that's it. I got nothing else. I got nothing else.
Peace, love, mummy.
I'll just sit and listen to Evan talk in that Eastern European accent
I'm going to talk like
all
this
day.
for hours.
That's
and
awesome.
not leave basement.
Yeah, that's fine. That's cool.
And talk to cat, which
It's now meal.
AKA dinner. Just joking, cat.
No, don't eat. Oh,
This cat is so cute.
she's asleep. I can't believe she feels safe next to you.
Yeah, this very dumb cat. So innocent and stupid. Trust me, I don't know
I don't know why.
why.
Yeah.
Bye,
Yeah,
everybody.
I love how you wave. They can't see you
They
wave.
can't see you.
They
They
can
can't-
if they close their eyes.
I always love when like YouTubers or whatever show I'm watching when they close with "See you guys soon," and then I'm like, "You can see me."
Yeah.
I hope not. So see you guys soon.
See you soon.
Yes.
Bye
soon.
I
bye.
can
Make
see
appointment.
See you at the alley at the
you.
restaurant.
Make appointment with
Ah.
Boris. All right.
Bye.
Love you, bye.
See ya.
Sorry for laughing.
Thank you for listening. This has been a production of Penguin Cat Media. Oh, hell yeah. We take our coffee black, like our soul.